Everyone has a unique gift, and Mike, the creator of the One Life podcast, believes most people don't know how to use their gifts or what they are. Mike wants you to see things from a different perspective and be true to yourself. The One Life podcast, it inspires, motivates, and creates positive energy, love, and compassion to all communities. We only have one life to live. Be yourself and live your truth. Add the One Life podcast to your playlist. That's the number one, NE Life. Available on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and your favorite podcast platform.
We're doing this 100 episodes. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the One Life Podcast, where we talk about positive psychology, taking care of your well-being, and telling your story because everyone has an amazing story. What's up, y'all? I'm Mike, MIC Reed, and in studio today we have Jessica, my friend from Viva Superheroes Behavior Services. How you been?
I'm good. I'm doing great. How
been,
are you?
I'm amazing. It's been a minute.
It has.
But, you know, I thought about you because summer's about to approach, right? We're about to be into summer. And I know you do a lot of events.
I do, yes.
Right. So I wanted to touch base back with you and kind of follow up from our last show. Thank you again for doing that show. It's pretty amazing.
Of course. Thank you for having me back.
I wanted to follow up with you and to see what you've been up to, how your company has grown, because I know it's grown.
It has. It has, yes.
So I just wanted to discuss all that and talk about what's new with you and what you're going to do this summer.
Okay.
And even get into the ABA and the tools of it.
Of course, and that's my favorite subject.
Yeah, no, you brought a lot of goodies today.
I did, in
and
case you need something.
Love your Wonder Woman purse.
Backpack.
Yes, backpack. So it's not a purse?
No, it's a backpack.
It looks like a purse. I'm a man.
I can wear it.
I
have a purse, but this one's the backpack.
But it can be doubled as a purse, right?
No, just a backpack.
Okay. I'm a man. Hey,
It's not a purse, but it's okay.
It's like, to me, that's like tomato. Purse, backpack.
Next time I'll bring a purse and a backpack just so we can see the difference.
Okay. Well, it's cute, though. I like that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anyway, go ahead.
You said about events. So we just had one. We did the Easter event, and we had the rabbit over. We had the bunny.
And you know what? I was supposed to go to that event.
Were you?
Yeah, because I'm on the board of Action for Kids now. I don't know if I even told you that.
Yes,
we haven't talked to them.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if they was there.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a booth there, and I didn't go because I forgot.
Oh, no.
I know, I'm bad. I'm a horrible person.
Shame.
I forgot. I woke up Saturday morning, and in the afternoon, I was scrolling through Instagram, and I was like, oh, my team is there. And then I saw your pictures. I was like, how did I miss the event?
Yeah.
But yeah, but anyway, how was it?
It was great. Lots of kiddos, lots of families. It was a nice day. It was nice and warm, so we had a lot of games, a lot of activities for the kiddos. Nice. We teamed up with ABC and Grow because they're the ones who organize everything, and Rosie and Josephine are part of that group. So it was very interesting.
What's her name? Bella, right? Oh, my God. I should stop saying people's name on the show because I'm bad with names, and she's a friend of mine. She's so sweet. It's, what's her name? Sister.
It's not Bella. Rosie's sister. Are you talking about? Is that what?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's Rosie's sister, right?
Rosie does have a sister.
Right. Her name is Bella, right? Sigala.
Sigala, yes. Yeah, I know her
Bella.
as Sigala.
Yeah.
I didn't know her as Bella. I know her as Sigala.
Oh, Bella. Well, her name is, I call her Bella.
Okay.
I know her name is something else, and I don't want to butcher it. But yeah, Sigala. Like, she's a real estate agent. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you gave me a heart attack for a minute. I was like, I'm going to forget.
Well, you gave me a heart attack. I was like, wait,
so
it's not Bella.
That's how I met Rosie, through her.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
And I actually did a couple of years ago, I did a couple of events with them.
Oh, nice, yeah.
I think it was a Christmas toy giveaway drive that I did with them 2 years in a row.
Oh, okay, cool. So, yeah, we tend to team up and do events together. Mm-hmm. I love their program, it's nonprofit, so we always help out, and we go in and we have characters.
Right. I love the fact that you do that. Like, you made that a part of your company.
Yeah. I think that's that's what makes us different from other ABA companies. You know, it's not just by the books. It's what makes it fun, right? You know, I dress up, right?
Yeah.
You know, I have other employees who dress up, right? I had a bunny with me on that day.
Yes.
I didn't dress up that day. I had a cute dress, but I didn't dress up. But yeah, it was so fun. Lots of fun.
What was just for people that don't know you or what your company is about, and we're going to get into what your company is about, but why did you choose to do the whole dress up thing?
I did it because one, it's part of my personality. I like to dress up. I think we talked about it last show that I cosplay.
Yeah.
So I think that was like one of my things. And then I realized that everyone can be a hero, right?
Yeah.
Kids are heroes. Adults are heroes. And I was like, why not make a company, you know, of superheroes, right?
I love that.
And then that Viva is a Spanish word, like Viva, you know, for those who don't know Spanish, you know, it's just like saying go, right? And I just thought go superheroes, just kind of, I don't know.
So generic.
Yeah. So I was like Viva superheroes. And so I was just cheering on, right? So I think that's how the company was made. I guess it was more of my personality and just trying to make a difference in the community.
Right. And I love that because they deserve that. And they are superheroes in their own ways.
Yes, they are. Everyone.
My son, you know, as you know, has cerebral palsy, right? And he's 28 now, which makes me really old. He has like the biggest heart.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, there's no drama. I mean, he has his moments, right? But it's like when it comes to being out in public and at events or anything where we take him out, and he's been like this his whole life. He's like the sweetest kid.
Yeah. A lot of our clients are so sweet.
Kid.
Yeah. They're little angels.
And he's smart because he waits till you get home and have to break down with us. But
well, all our kids are sweet. They're all we all love them, right? But they do have their moments, right?
Yeah.
We have a lot of kiddos with aggressive behaviors. That doesn't mean they're bad kids. Not at all, right?
We have our moments.
Yeah, we all do. Even neurotypical kids or adults, we all have moments, right? So, and that's totally okay. So, I know with like what I do, we work with a lot of diversity, right? So, I don't ever want to say, oh, we work with like we cure things, or no, we don't do anything like that. We just help. We give you the tools for you to improve. Right. That's all. That's all we do.
So explain what your company actually does. Like, what is your company?
All right. So Viva Superheroes Behavior Services. We do ABA. We have other services, but all our concepts are related through ABA. ABA is Applied Behavior Analysis, right? So what we do is it's been scientifically shown and proven that it works. So that's one of the things that I love about the company. That's not like we're just going, oh, it might work. No, there's a lot of studies and history that's proven that these things do work, and so they're helpful. So what we do is a lot of kiddos who need help with some skill acquisitions that they need to learn certain things, and they're just not understanding it. You know, I know they go to school, but they're still having a hard time with certain concepts. We go home to their homes and we teach them those concepts. And then some of our kiddos and adults, we do have some adults too, right? Have maladaptive behaviors, such, you know, as hitting and screaming and things that are not appropriate, right? And that, again, that doesn't mean they're bad or anything like that. It does not mean that, right? But we give them the tools to show them, hey, instead of doing this, this is a replacement behavior, and you can get the same outcome.
Right.
And you don't have to do those aggressive behaviors. You don't have to do those maladaptive behaviors. So then we put those behaviors on extinction, which means that we don't reinforce those behaviors, right? So like say a kid wants, I don't know, this pineapple plant over here, right? And he goes and he starts screaming, right? And then sometimes parents, what do they do? Usually, they start screaming. They want this.
Yeah, like give it to me, put it down.
So what does that show the child?
They're actually reinforcing the screaming is okay.
So every time you scream, you get what you want, and that's how you learn, right? And that's life. So we don't do that, right? So we ignore that. We ignore the screaming, but we do teach them like, hey, you can ask, like, I want this plant, please. You know, appropriate ways to get the same outcome.
Right.
So that's basically what we do. We do those replacement behaviors for maladaptive behaviors, and we have those skill acquisition skills where if they're not understanding certain concepts, we teach them. Some of our kiddos can't speak, and we teach them how to speak. Some of our kiddos have a hard time, and a lot of things, right? Like fine motors, vocabulary, anything that they have, they need help with. We are there to help them.
Right. So you know what? Over the last year, I've been has it almost been a year? I've been studying restorative practices, and because I have the background in positive psychology as well, I've been learning that a lot of the data science backing methods actually work hand in hand.
Right.
Like the example you just gave us about the yelling and all that, right?
Yeah.
You have tools to say, okay, but if you do this, you get the same result, right? Restorative practice is the same way. So if I'm in a school and there's a fight or something, or someone is escalated, not re-regulated, oh my God, I just lost my train of thought. But if he's escalated to where he's just in super energy, high energy, bad mood, right? We want to de-escalate that. But in restorative practices, we always teach that, okay, one, we have to regulate ourselves first.
Right.
And we talk in a calm manner. We say less, right? Because less is always better.
Yes.
Because typically when someone just got out into a fight and their energy is high, they just need to vent. They need to cool down. So doing less is way better. So typically, I think I was talking to you earlier about how I go into a classroom or I go to the situation. I say, hey, come walk with me. I ask them first, do you want to talk? Most of the time they say, no. And just like that with aggression, no, stop talking to me. Cool, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm just going to walk with you. We're just going to walk until you're ready to talk. So there's not that energy matching energy because you get nowhere with that.
No, you don't.
And a lot of people, and I've seen this in the schools where a lot of people, they match the kids' energy thinking that because they're the adult, they're going to, it's like, no, like these kids, they're going to, you throw that energy at them, they're going to throw it right back at you. The best approach is to talk to them in calm manner and ask for whatever you want. And if they don't do it, you just kind of calmly just stand there, look at them and like, okay, well, when you're ready to give it to me,
right,
I'm right here.
Right.
But don't match their energy. It's it's a different, calmer approach to it.
No, and that's one of the things when we do, because we do training, obviously, right? We do 2 days of training, and then we do 1 week of shadowing another therapist, right? And so we talk about how to de-escalate a client, right? If your client is aggressive, like you said, we're not going to match their energy, right? If you're yelling at me, I'm not going to start yelling at a child, right? Like, first of all, super unethical, right? You're not going to get in a shouting match with a child. Or even if you have like an adult client, you're just not going to do it. It's not going to work, right? And so you want to be calm. And then you have the replacement behaviors. There's, like I said, it's individualized for the specific client, right? But I can give you just examples, right? Because I can do very vague examples. But when we create the programs, we specify certain things for the specific client, right? What works for you might not work for the next person, right?
Right.
So we have to see what the function is. We talked about last time, right? The function of the behavior. So we have to know the why, the client is having those aggressive behaviors, and we have to come up with things before the behavior comes, which is called antecedents, and then after the behavior actually happens and how to deal with it.
Wait, before the behavior, so it's kind of like being proactive. What did you just call it?
Antecedent. Antecedent.
Okay, I'm not going to butcher that word.
No worries. And we call it the ABCs in the ABA.
Okay.
Antecedent, behavior, and consequences.
Okay.
So before, I always train this to all my employees, before the behavior, like you want to maybe give them a visual schedule, right? You talked about vision boards, right? Sometimes we have visual schedules. I can show you. But we have visual schedules where like, hey, we're going to work on this, this, and this today.
Right.
So they know what's coming up, right? We have so many things. We have choices. Give them choices. Hey, do you want to do math or do you want to work on writing today?
Right.
So they have power in what you say. So it's not we're doing this.
Even so that's why I say and I love having that's why I love having these conversations because it's kind of very similar. So in restorative practices, when a kid is doing something they're not supposed to, we give them 2 positive choices. Okay, you either do this or do that. The choice is yours. And that's something we tell the kids every day. The choice is yours. You can either make a good choice or a bad choice.
Yeah.
But the choice is yours.
Right.
And we teach them that there's consequences to your choices, right?
Yeah.
Even the bad choices, but also there's good consequences for the good choices.
Yeah.
Like we give them rewards for being good. Like a lot of my mentees, we do check in, check out with them, and it's a point system.
Okay.
And every Monday, like one of my mentees, like this week, for instance, her goal was to get 50 points. She was 4 points shy, and she was a little disappointed. But all at the same time, it's like she beat her goal from last week.
Okay.
Right, but she didn't make her goal this week. But she I don't know if that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yes.
She beat her goal last week,
but she didn't make it to what she was supposed to get
this
to
week. Right,
points.
she was. But it was and typically I don't do this. It was a high goal that I knew it wasn't obtainable. Typically we do, especially for the elementary and middle schools that we go to, we do goals that are obtainable so they don't get disappointed.
Yes,
but
we do that too.
But me and her, we have talked about this for a couple of weeks, and the reward, she wanted this big reward, and I was like, okay, but to get that, you have to get this many points, and we have to build to that. But she was so confident that she was like, no, Coach Mike, I want to do it. And I was like, okay. So it wasn't just something that I just did lightly.
Okay. You talked it over with her.
I talked it over with her.
She had choices.
But, right. But, like, so today was Friday, so we went over it, right? For me, she actually did way better than I thought she was. She was only 4 points short. So that was actually great. So I still rewarded her.
But not that specific one.
Not that specific one.
And we do that too. That's
and I
cool.
told her that, it's okay because we teach kids that, hey, you have to learn to lose too. Because I do a basketball tournament for the boys. Okay. And, me and this other coach, we teach them that, hey, you got to learn to lose too.
Yeah.
Part of life. You're not going to win every game. Just like you're not going to always meet your goals. You just got to adjust them. So that's what I taught her today. So even afterwards, she was a little disappointed, but then I had to have that conversation with her like, okay, we just adjusted. Not saying that you're never going to get this big reward. It's not off the table. We just got to adjust it so you can get it later on. Right? So it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. So even in ABA, a lot of things are similar, right? So we actually have group contingencies that we do for schools. So for her, what it sounds to me, right, that you told her that she has 50 points to earn this big reward. We call it independent contingency, meaning that it only affects her, right?
Right.
If she makes it, it makes it. If it doesn't, then she's not getting the reward.
Right.
And that is an ABA principle that we have too. So, yeah, it's pretty cool how some things overlap. We have interdependent contingencies, dependent contingencies, and that's more for schools and group exercises that we do that too. That's pretty good that we're on the same page.
No, I know, but I love how, like, even my manager, when I first started going into the schools, and started learning restorative practices, I had him on the show, and we talked about the similarities of positive psychology and restorative practices, because they actually do work hand in hand, and there's a lot of similarities.
Right.
It's just different languages.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's just different languages.
You're
and I'm
right.
hearing from you, like, we do the same thing with just different languages.
Yeah, different languages. And I think when I first got into this, I was a teacher. I think I mentioned that last time, right? So when I first got into this, I was a BT, right, a behavior therapist.
Okay.
And they interviewed me, and a lot of the things that we do for ABA, I was doing it in my class.
Right.
But with a different terminology.
Yeah, exactly.
So they were like, yeah, you do great in this field because a lot of the things you're already doing it. And just at a different, terminology, and that's it, right? And so, yeah, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the field, and then I stopped teaching, and then I went back to school for my master's and just focused on this and became a BCBA.
Right. So back to what your company does and ABA. So what are some of the, because I know you brought some stuff. So what are some of like the tools that you use for that? So you can kind of give us like an example.
Sure. So some of the tools, basically, like I said, we create everything based on the client, right?
So you do like a menu type thing for a client. So I'm not going to say they pick it, but you kind of pick it for them, right?
Right. So
Or
we
is it
pick
something-
it, right?
Yeah, you pick it, yeah.
Yeah. So our evaluation, I think I kind of mentioned that last time. In our evaluation, we go in, we do an observation at home, observation at school. We talk to the parents. Sometimes we talk to the clients, right? And we see what skill deficits the client has. And we're like, okay, the client is lacking this specific skill, so we're going to teach them, right? So let's say, and again, these are just examples, so I go very vague because they're not specific to one client, right? So let's say the client cannot speak, and they haven't learned how to speak at all. They don't speak. There's no vocalization. There's nothing, right? There's so they can't communicate. Which, like I said, if they want this pineapple, right, this plant, right? They can't tell you they want it, right? But sometimes. A little goodie box.
No.
So this is just an example, right? We create a little folder that has like all the things like food and home stuff, signs, school, places, actions. So the client can learn how to put one, I don't know. Like, say you want pizza, right?
Right.
The child can't tell you I want pizza, but they can put it here and just give it to you and say, here, pizza, right? Okay. And so then if I come up to you and I can't speak and I just tell you, you're going to know that I want pizza.
Right, because you put it on there.
Mm-hmm. And that's it. So we start teaching them. That's just an example of things that we do, right?
So and I'm just assuming right now, because you have 3 lines, does that represent anything, or is it to make sentences out of this stuff?
So, again, if I'm just starting out, I'm just going to do one picture. But eventually, it's going to be full sentences. You're going to have I want, I need. Yeah, and then you'll be able to expand on it. Okay. So, yeah. So, again, it's up to the client, right? Up to where their level is, right? Like, if you're just starting out, I'm going to probably just pick the things that I know you like the most, right? Like, say, pizza. Like, say, I don't know, hot dog and juice, right? Like, those are the 3 things the client likes, right? So I'll put them here because that's what they're going to look for, and it's just going to be easier. Remember how you said you create goals that are achievable, right? So I'm not going to be like, hey, I'm going to teach you how to do a full sentence and scroll through this and look through all of this, right? So I'm going to just start off with like maybe 2 or 3 things that they want, that they prefer, right? And I'm going to teach them how to ask for it. Once they start getting it, then they move on. Then they're like, oh, okay, then there's other pictures. Oh, I can get this too. I can get this toy. I can, there's other things that I can get. And then we'll start formatting sentences. Like, we'll have the I want here, right? I don't have it here, but we'll have something that says I want. Right. And then they'll be like, I want. And they'll be making sentences completely on the book. So this is for someone that cannot communicate and it's non-vocal. Right.
So let me ask you this then, and maybe, I don't know if the question is too advanced, but not for you, but just saying in general, because I see how the simplicity that this is. So what's the difference of teaching them this versus sign language?
So this is universal. Okay. Not everyone speaks sign language. Right. So that's why we have it. Right. If I speak to you in sign language, right, we do use some sign language, right? We'll be like, oh, do you want more? What do you want, right? Like, we do use sign language here and there. But to be honest, not everyone speaks sign language. And if you go to the store, if you go to, I don't know, McDonald's, right? And you can't speak and you can only do sign language, how are they going to understand you, right? Because I can guarantee you that most people that work there probably don't speak sign language, right? It's not that, the percentage is not that high. But this is universal.
Okay, that makes sense.
If I want, a burger, right, and I put it here, and I have a picture of that specific burger,
I know immediately you want a burger. Okay, gotcha.
Exactly, right? And this is something that we start off, but eventually, once they get to school, we go with the parents to IEPs, right, and we're like, hey, if the client's not, speaking, let's go with a tablet. With a tablet, it's a little bit easier because the pictures are already there, right? So now it's just you saying, I want pizza. So if I go to McDonald's and I have a tablet and I say I want cheeseburger, the employee obviously is going to understand me and I'll be able to communicate with them. So those are just some examples that we do.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
I like that.
We have different tools. We have visual boards, right? You talked about a board. When we, like I said, we have everything that, what are we working for? The point system, right? That's what we call it, a token economy.
Okay.
So you did mention it, and then I was like, oh, yeah, that's a token economy. You do that too. So you earn 5 stars, and then what are you working for? Oh, I'm working for my tablet. I want to play my tablet, or I want to play my PlayStation game, right? Okay, 5 stars, you can get your PlayStation, right? But if you get 3 stars, you can get something a little bit, maybe not the PlayStation, but maybe some, I don't know, a book that you wanted to read. Maybe it's not as prefer, right? So we have the point system, right? So we can do that too and track it down. We can do, with kids who are higher functioning, we can do a behavior contract. Look, like, okay, if we have 5 days with no maladaptive behaviors, we get to, I don't know, go to the movies or go to the park where something gets a little bit bigger, right? So those are visual things, right? And we can have like a board, right? This is a board that you can use any. I'm just giving you an example, right? So you can have a board, you can put in the pictures, and they can see it.
Okay.
And so then they know what they're working for. They know their points, the point system, their token economy. And then, that's basically it. You know, they see the schedule. They see it on the board. They see what they're working for. So we use a lot of different tools. And I'm just giving you some examples. We have so many, but we just, I just give you some examples that we use for our kiddos.
What's your favorite tool that is universal that can work with anybody?
Pre-Mac. So
Pre-Mac?
Yeah, pre-Mac contingency first, then.
So I don't know. So we have a thing too. We really do the same thing. It's called this, then.
Oh, okay.
Like,
right.
So for instance, if someone doesn't want to do their schoolwork, right? And we say, okay, if you do 3 problems, do this, then we could do that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, so we'll give you if you do, say if it was a page full of problems, 10 problems, do at least 3 or 4 problems, then we can do this.
Yes.
We can go outside.
Yes.
Play hoops for about 5 minutes, but then we're going to come back, do another 3 or 4.
I need to hire you as a behavior therapist. Look at that. Look at that. That's what we do. Yes, first, then it's exactly what it sounds like, right? Then, it's also known, and I'm giving you a lot of verbiage, but that's what it's called, right? Yeah. It's also known as grandma's law, and the reason it's called grandma's law too is because we think of grandmas when they tell you, eat your vegetables, right? And then you get ice cream.
Then you get it,
right? So you get a non-prefer, and then you get a prefer, right? And again, up to the client, right? If it's your high functioning, we're just going to tell you, like, okay, you're going to do this, then you get that, right? If you're a little bit lower functioning and maybe you need pictures, like, okay, first you get a picture of, non-prefer, and then you put the picture of the prefer so they can see it visually, right? So again, we cater everything to our clients. Yeah. So I think that one is my favorite tool, I would say, to use, just because they can see it right away and there's an immediate reinforcement, right? Yeah. With tokens, there's a bit of a latency, or there's a bit of a delay, right? So you have to wait, like, I have to earn this one, then I have to earn this one. So there's a few, right? And you can get it, right? We kind of use the token system too, right? We go to work, we work certain amount of hours, and then we get a paycheck. Yeah. Right? You want to see it that way.
That
we
is
get
true.
Reinforced.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, we get reinforced, right? Because, we don't go to work for free, right? We don't, If someone tells you, hey, you work at a school, right? And they tell you, hey, you're going to still expect it to come, but you're not going to get anything. Yeah. You're probably going to be like, no.
It's funny because I tell people all the time that, I don't say it a lot, and I hope they don't take it away from me now. I get paid a lot of money to do what I do, and I think it's a crime.
Oh, no.
For real. I'm like, you guys are actually paying me this much to do this? Like, I don't know if it's because I've always worked with kids, right? So I have a passion of helping people, right, especially kids. Yeah. Right? So to me, this is like a dream job for me. Like, I love it. I love waking up every morning and going to these schools. Yeah. Even the principal tells me, like, he told me one day, he pulled me to the office. I thought I was in trouble because it's the principal. He pulled me in the office. He's like, Mike, I just want to tell you, man, I love your energy every morning. You come in here every day with a smile and this great energy every single morning. Even after we had like a bad day, you still come the next day with this great positive attitude. I was like, because I love it. I mean, because I get it. Like, again, I don't take behavior personal. So I get the struggles that the kids are going through. I get that, you know, maybe their environment or whatever it is, it's just rough. Like I've been there. Right. So, yeah, you know, maybe we had a rough day today, but I'm going to go home. I'm going to regulate myself. I'm going to take care of myself and be ready for the next morning. Perfect. And that's what we do, too. I'm ready to go again.
Awesome. And that's what we're looking for. When we interview, we want to make sure that your heart's there, right? Okay. You might not know the concepts. That's cool. But if your heart is there and you're willing to learn and this is a passion, that's something that we're looking for, you know?
And that's what I love about the company that I'm at, because people are always asking, hey, are your company hiring? Because they see us and they got out how much money we make, right? And they was like, are they hiring? And then I always say, yeah, well, yeah, because even like next year, we're supposed to double our schools.
Okay.
So right now, I think we're in maybe 14 schools.
Nice.
So over the summer, the district is planning on doubling that.
Okay.
So we're going to be hiring a lot of people. But don't contact me, though. I'm not in the hiring process.
Yeah.
But because so many people always come to me because I'm a lead. But anyways, they always ask, one of the questions is, what skills do they need or what degrees? And I'm like, well, the great thing about my company is they don't ask for any degrees.
Okay.
They just want to find people that have a passion for working with kids.
Right.
That's important to them.
Yeah.
Right? Because they put you through the training anyways. Like, so they put you through a course of restorative practices anyways. So before you even go to the into the schools, you got to do like 2 weeks of training at the office first. Right. And it's 8 hours a day for 2 weeks. Like, you have to go through that training first.
Right.
So you do get your training, and then they put you into school. But it's the passion that really counts.
Yeah, it does. It does. And that's why we always tell people, right? When we hire them, you're going to have moments that your client might be very aggressive, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, you have to be there for them. Yeah. Like, when they're done, you have to help them de-escalate. And you have to have no hard feelings towards it, right? No. You're not going to be like, oh, he yelled at me. Like, now I'm mad. Oh, he pulled my hair. Like, you're not going to do that. You're going to be there supportive. And I always tell them, too, if you have a crisis, right, and let's say you're off at 5 o'clock, right, and your client is having a crisis, you're not leaving. You're not leaving until they calm down. Yeah. You're not leaving until you de-escalate and everything is fine. Then you can leave. If you have to stay over and we have to pay you extra, that's fine. But do not leave when your client's having a crisis and be like, okay, Paris, you know, I got him upset. Peace, I'm gone. You know, like, we don't do that. We're going to be there until you calm down and you're able to de-escalate. Yeah. And then just everything goes back to normal. Okay, you're good. And we can go ahead and clock out.
And even like with me, like, what I teach my team is we have to be accountable as well.
Yes.
Right? Because we're human, right? Mm-hmm. And so just to give you a quick story, just last week, I didn't get into it, but this one kid was acting up in class, and they called me in there, went to the class, and he just had this I don't care attitude. He was like, I don't care. And I was like, okay. So I was like, I already had a meeting with him and his father. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, so when your dad comes in here next time, we have our meeting and our sit down again, because we do it regularly. Right. I said, I want you to keep that same energy right now, because you keep telling me you don't care. So when he's in here, I want you to say that same thing. And he was like, okay, I don't care. I was like, okay, cool. So then I walked out, right? Because this kid, like, you can't sugarcoat nothing with him. Right. Like, sometimes, you have to just be straight up with kids, like, or they'll walk all over you. You can't be that nice, right? Again, it's about, like, how kind of what you mentioned earlier. You got to kind of know your client. Right. Right. And it's the same with these kids in these schools. You kind of got to know the kid, right? Each one, how their attitude. So I know him. I sat down with him in the set, and I was like, okay, cool. I want you to keep that same energy when your dad comes in. So then I walked away, and I left. And then the next day, I went in to check on him. And first I always check in with the teacher, and she was like, oh, he's great today. I was like, cool. So I actually went up to him, hey, proud of you, glad you're doing a great job today. And then I put my hand out, like, give him a fist bump, and he just left me hanging. I was like, oh, so he's going to leave me hanging? And he was like, yeah. I was like, why? He was like, remember yesterday? And I was like, what happened? He was like, remember you said keep that same energy? So I'm keeping my same energy. I was like, and I laughed, right, because it was funny. I was like, okay, cool. So then I pulled out a chair, and I sat next to him. I said, okay. I said, so how do we change the energy? He was like, I don't know. It's going to be what it is. And I was like, but you know I care about you. You know I want to change the energy. I don't want it to be like this. So I said, I'll go first. I said, I'll apologize for yesterday. I'll be mad enough to say, I apologize.
Right.
I probably should have went a different route with that. Right. And he was like, I appreciate that. He was like, I'm sorry too. And then he gave me a fist bump.
That's perfect.
Exactly.
That you hold accountability, and that's great.
Right.
And kids need to know that, right?
Yeah.
Because what happens if we're acting one way and then we change it, right?
Yeah.
We're hypocrites. And then
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
like, we lose the trust. And so one of the
Exactly.
things when we are doing orientation and we're doing training, right? Because I do the training. I tell them, I'm like, you got to watch out what you say.
Yeah.
If you're going to say you're going to do something, you better do it.
Yeah, follow through it.
Follow through. So with ABA, one of the biggest things is we follow through, right? So if we promise them something after a certain amount, then we have to just do it, right? Or if we say, oh, you only have to do one thing and then you get your reinforcement, then that's it. One of the things I always tell parents, this happens a lot with parents, they don't follow through. They do drive me crazy with that, but we always give them the tools and we always give them that coaching, right? Like if you say something, right, make sure you follow through. If you say, hey, if you act out, we're not going to go to Disneyland. But if you already have your tickets bought out, are you really going to cancel the trip? No, right? You're not going to really cancel the trip. You already spend the money on it, right?
Yeah.
So don't say if you act out, you're not going to go to Disneyland, because you're still going to go. So you can't say something that you're not going to follow through, right? Or if you do this, I'm going to buy you this, but not give it to them, right? Be like, oh, I don't have money, I can't do it anymore. Because then you break trust.
Right, yeah.
So we have to make sure, that we are saying something that we're going to follow through, right?
Yeah.
Even when we do evaluation, I always give this an example in training. When it was COVID, right? I did it via Zoom. And the mom was like, hey, she goes, your maestra, she called me teacher in Spanish, right? Is on the computer. If you follow, do whatever she tells you, she's going to give you candy. And I was like, no. I was like, I am via Zoom. I cannot give candy. Please don't say that to the parent, to the kid.
Like, to you?
No, because then they're gonna lose trust, because they're like, okay, I follow through, but you didn't give me my candy.
Right.
So we always have to follow through.
Yes.
If we say something, even if you didn't mean it, you're like, oh, it's out in the open. You have to keep your word.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's something we do as well. And it's something that a lot of the schools, some schools don't do. They do these empty threats. Yeah. And one thing about the one school that I'm at, the principal there, and I love my principal and vice principal, like we're such on the same page. Like, we don't give empty threats. It's like, again, it goes to, there's consequences for the good and the bad.
Right.
We'll give you the rewards, but you got to earn it. But there's also consequences for if you don't do it. Like, that's just the reality of it, and we follow through. Like, we always follow through.
And that's important. Remember earlier we talked about ABCs, right? Antecedent, behavior, and consequence. So what I always tell people, consequence, don't think, oh, it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just what happens after the behavior. Yeah. If you did a good behavior, you get something good, right? If you did something that you weren't supposed to, you might lose something. So everyone has consequence, right? Even us, right? Yeah. If we go to work late, we get consequences. We don't go to work, we get consequences. If we do certain things, we get a reward, and so we get consequences. Every action we do, there are consequences. And so a lot of our kiddos or clients, because I always say kiddos, but I work with all ages. Yeah. But a lot of our clients need to understand every action that they do, there's a consequence, either good or bad. But that's just life.
So what about like in like team environments? So like, for instance, I do a basketball league for the boys, right? And so each tournament is a week, right? And so the rules are, after each week, if you don't get no ODRs, don't get sent up to the office as a team, because you guys got to hold each other accountable, then you get a pizza party at the end of the week.
So that's called interdependent contingency, which is based on everyone has to do it as a team. So we have that too. So that's what we consider that, where everyone has to work together to get the one reward. Right.
So when we did that, the first week when we did that, the majority, I think we had like 12 boys at the time. The majority of the boys, except for 2, did great. And throughout that week, so me and my other coach and the principal and vice principal, we actually sat down at the end of the week and we discussed it. And me and the vice principal was kind of on the same page. We was like, well, it's not fair to the other kids that actually earned it and they don't get it because of the behavior of two kids that they can't control. And I was in agreement only because I saw the team telling them, hey, stop. So they tried.
Right.
They tried to hold them accountable, but again, we can't control people. So they just didn't listen. But for me, I was like, no, they did the best they could.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they still need to get rewarded. So
Right.
we did a pizza party, but those two wasn't allowed to come.
Yeah, and that's fine. So that's more independent, right? So if they did what they're supposed to, then they all get whatever reward it is, right? There's also the dependent contingency, which is also known as the hero contingencies, where and this would be worse because in that scenario, but usually it's like, okay, these are the two ones that need help, right? We could say if these two do this specific activity, then everyone is going to get the reinforcement. So usually what happens is the class is trying to push them. They all start working together to help those two to specifically do the task that they're supposed to. Right. So when they do accomplish it, then they're like, they are the heroes. So that's why it's like a hero contingency, dependent contingency. So there's different ways of doing that, right? You can always make them work together, work separate, right? If they work separate, then they get their own reward. There's lots of group contingencies that you can use in ABA, and it works, especially like in school settings, right? So it's very different from being in school than being at home working one-on-one.
You know, earlier you mentioned we were talking about science-based, right? The one thing that I'm learning, and I know the schools are leaning more towards this, and I think that's why the company that I work with is successful, is because everything is science-based, is data-driven, right?
Yep.
Data is so important. And I think the school districts are just now realizing that. I think they've known it, but I think they're looking for that now because I heard through somebody, little birdie, that all the programs that they're looking for now has to have the data behind
to
it.
back it up.
To back it up.
And
opposed to the moms and pops that are saying, hey, I have this program, the sports program is supposed to do blah, blah, blah. But if you don't have the science or the data to back it up, it's like, how are we supposed to implement it?
Exactly. So the thing about my specific field that I love, right? Everything is ABA. It's driven, right? It's all about data. We give tablets to our BTs, and when they are working one-on-one, they're taking data. Right. A plus, they did it. A minus, they didn't do it. Or prompts. I can go a whole lesson on prompts. But if we prompts is just basically some type of assistance, and it's the same thing as not getting it, because it's some type of assistance. Like, I gestured the prompt. I gestured to the correct answer. Touch black, right? And I'm pointing at black. They're going to touch it, but they're not. It's just what it helps. So that's what a prompt is. So anyways, we always have our tablet, and we always have the data. And so every month we're looking at the data, and we're trying to see, is the client improving? Yeah. Are they not improving? Every 6 months, we write reports to the funding source, which it could be regional center, it could be insurance. So we write a report on their progress. So the funding source can see, okay, the client's doing well with this, or the client's not working. It's not, there's this intervention that's not working. And that's fine too, right? We can need to look at it and be like, hey, we see the data going down or nothing, right? There's nothing going on. It's just flat level. We need to figure it out, right? Remember I talked about the rats always right last time, where I always say we have to figure out what is wrong and teach them correctly. Right. So if the data is showing us that the client is not understanding or there's no progress, then we have to reevaluate the intervention and come up with another intervention that has been successful and that we can do. Right. So that way the client can achieve their specific goal.
Right. We do the same thing. Cause my company is data driven as well. We do trackers. Okay. So every day, and it's a simple Excel sheet that we use that it takes 2 minutes and everything is just like tabs that we're just clicking on. Okay. But at the end of it, we can tell, like if I look at the whole week, I can tell if my mentee is progressing or not, because we have a prompt on there that says, same, progress, negative, or just NA.
Right.
So maybe if they was absent a day. So we do data tracker on every student that we come across every day. And we keep data on them.
Nice.
As far as like, again, if it's positive, if it's negative. So we have the data at the end of it, at the end of every 6, because we do everything in 6 week increments.
Okay.
Let's see if it works, like I was just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is this working?
Mm-hmm.
If it's not, let's switch it up.
Yeah.
And the great thing about it is that my principal and vice principal, they're same page. They always want to know. I meet with them every morning anyways, just to say, okay, what happened yesterday, kind of brief 5-minute conversation.
Right.
What worked yesterday, what didn't. But at everything that we do is 6 weeks. Let's try this for 6 weeks because we like to give it time to work.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't, then let's change it.
Right.
We're going to figure, something's going to work. Like we're just going to keep trying until we figure out what works.
Right. And again, we do reports every 6 months, but we don't wait until 6 months. We're supposed to be doing every month or every 2 months and kind of reviewing the data, right? We also give it time. Maybe there's some slight progress, but it's not as fast as we want it, but there's progress, right? So we just have to, we do a lot of evaluating the data, seeing if it works, we have to replace things. Maybe we have to change the variable. Maybe there's one specific thing that is, it's not working. We have to change it up for the client to be able to get it, right? So, and you've been in IEPs, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All my life because my son.
Yeah. Right. So that's how I assume that you've been. So you know how the school has goals for your son, right? And they'll tell you like, oh, the client, your son, the student should be able to do this with one prompt or no prompts, right? We're actually more detailed than that, than the IEPs goals, but we'll put in the client can which is a request, an item with 3 words or more. So we're very detailed within 3 seconds, right? So then we look at that, and then if, let's say, we're looking at the data and there's no progress or it's decreasing, right? We're like, what's wrong? We have to look at it. Maybe 3 words is too much. Right. Like switch it up to only 1 word.
Right.
And see, and then build up from there, right? Yeah. So we can always go back. So there's no like, hey, it didn't work. That's it. You guys, we're done, right? We're like, okay, what about this situation? It's not working. Maybe it's too hard to do 3 words. Like switch it up to 1 word. And again, everything is data driven, right?
It is.
So we see the data. We work with graphs. We have our graphs that we do on our reports. Our reports are very long, but they're very detailed. And they have the graphs showing the progress of the client. So then that way the parent and the funding source can see where that client is.
And you know what's crazy? Because speaking of IEPs, because obviously because of my son, we went through IEPs all his life while he was in school. Now that I'm in schools, I can see the difference of today's school compared to 15 years ago when he was in school.
Okay. What's the difference that you see?
I wish they had a company like yours. There's someone that I can actually depend on to actually make my son better and to grow. Because back then, like, I don't think they had the tools that we have now. I really don't. Like, I can actually see it because the more that we're talking about it is like, yeah, they had IEPs and everything was adapted for him, the studying, the PE, everything, right? But I don't think there was no reinforcement there to
motivate him
or to get him to meet these goals or even to excel them. Right. Like there wasn't. It was just always, because I'm thinking about now, every time we had IEP, it was kind of like if I had a drop down, it was same, but there was no progress.
Right.
And when he was in, I think it was elementary, and he was about to go into junior high, middle school. But see, back then it was called elementary, junior high, right?
Yeah,
now it's middle
grades,
school.
yeah,
the grades different. They wanted to keep him in a special ed school. They didn't want him to go to a regular middle school.
Okay.
We had to fight for that. Like
Yeah,
we went
as
through
you said.
so many IEPs to fight for it. Only reason why I believe that we won was two reasons. One, because we fought for it, and me and his mom. His mom is big on education,
Great.
so we fought for it. And my sister, she was actually a special ed teacher at the time,
Okay.
so she was giving us a lot of tools and knowledge. And so they wanted to keep him at this special ed school, but all they was doing was coloring every day.
So they wanted to give in the program that's not a path to a high school diploma.
Right.
It was more a pass.
Right.
Yeah.
So and me and his mom kept saying he's never going to learn anything by coloring every day.
Right.
Like we knew our son. I knew how smart he was. I was like, you have to challenge him.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't challenge him, then yeah, that's all he's going to do all day.
Right.
You have to challenge him. I know my son.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So finally they allowed it, right, after so many IPs, so many meetings, they allowed it. He went to middle school, graduated, went to a regular high school, graduated, went to college.
Awesome.
Right. But my point was like, see, if no one fights for these kids, because back then no one was fighting for them. Like it was only us, which parents should fight for your own kids.
Right.
But we still didn't have that support. Like we went through so much.
But some parents don't have that, right?
Right, they don't.
You had people that
And
supported you.
some parents don't even have people like we had to
Right.
like kind of talk to us and be
Yeah.
like, hey, do this, do that.
Exactly. Not everyone has
Yeah.
that, right? So congratulations. You're an awesome dad, right? You guys were awesome parents. You guys were involved, and that's great. But not every parent has that knowledge, right?
Yeah.
They want to be there for their kids, and but they don't know how. They don't have the knowledge. They don't know what their rights are in IEPs. They're just like, oh, okay, so we have to sign this. Okay, they get intimidating. Sometimes we have language barriers as well, so they're not quite understanding certain things. And this is where we advocate for them, right? So we are there as the whole team is there for the entire family.
And to be honest, like, because I had to raise a child with special needs, like not only just the educational thing, but just the whole process itself, dealing with the government and these regulations that they had on us made everything so stressful and overwhelming. Like we wasn't allowed to make a certain amount of money every month because he was getting SSI, his benefits, like all this stuff affected everything, right? And we didn't understand it at first. Like we had to educate ourselves until we got to a point where we was like, you know what? We don't want none of you guys' help no more. As far as like the benefits, SSI, we was like, we don't want none of that no more. You guys are making our lives way too much difficult. Like tell us, because at the time we was trying to buy our first house. And I was like, well, if I can't have more than $2,000 in my bank account, how am I supposed to buy a house?
Right.
I felt like he was trying to keep us down here. Like that didn't make sense to me. And I was like, no. I was like, well, if that's the case, I don't want none of your stuff.
Right.
I'm going to buy a house.
Right.
Even our car evaluations, they added that. Like that's what I'm
That's
saying.
so messed up.
It is, and that's what I'm saying. When you have a child with a disability, the government and I, on a business level, I kind of understand certain things, but there got to be a better system, a better way. And for parents that are not too educated or have like people that we had that helped us, it can be really overwhelming, and I can see where a lot of parents fail, and it's not to their fault of their own.
No, it's definitely not.
Yeah. So it's the struggle. When I tell you the struggle of raising a kid with disability and trying to get funding and trying to get them to have a normal life with the tools that you need and all that stuff, it's a lot.
It is.
It's a lot.
Parents go through a lot, and that's what we always tell when we're training, right? We have to be there for the family. We're not there just for the kid.
No.
We have to be there for the family. And I've had moments where parents just vent at me, right? And they're talking to me, and they're just like, let things out, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm here for you. I'm here to support you. We're here as a team to support you, right? So when it comes to IEPs, we are there too. We go to the IEPs with the parents, and we consult with them. We're like, okay, we tell them about their rights. We teach them how to advocate for themselves. If there's something, we always tell them the first thing, if there's something you don't understand or there's something you don't agree with, do not sign your IEP.
Right, no signing, yeah.
Right, don't sign it, because some parents don't even know that that's even a choice. They're just like, oh, well, we have to do it.
Nope.
And to mention about the government, I know how hard it is. Now, hopefully nothing changes.
Yeah, I know.
With the new administration, a lot of things looks like it might be changing, but as of right now, it's not based on your income. It's based on what you need. So, we have regional center, we have insurances, right? So those things should not be based on your income. Now, financially, to get, I don't know, checks and things, that might be a little bit different. That's a little bit different, but like services is not based on your income. It's based on what your child needs and the individual, right? So they get those services. We go through insurances, we go through regional center. So those services are there, but parents don't have to pay for it.
Right.
And again, we always give knowledge, right? We educate the parents and we tell them what their rights are and what they can do. And we always give them that support because we're there as a team, not just individualized with one person.
Right.
We want to be there as a team, give them that support, and just have the client and the family grow. Like you said, you had to fight for yours, right? Sometimes parents don't have that information. Some parents don't know about it, right? So we have to, it's so important to have that relationship, right? It's not just about, oh, we're here, we clock in and we clock out. It's
and
not.
saying that's the intimidating part, right? Like, you just mentioned, like, we're a team. Like, when me and my ex-wife went through the IEPs, it was just us against a bunch of teachers and these people that we didn't know.
Right.
And it's intimidating when you sit at a board table and you got 6-7 people in front of you that's telling you all this stuff that you don't understand, and it's just you two. You don't have a representative or a lawyer like to help you with this. It's like, it's very intimidating. Right.
And it is very intimidating. And a lot of parents don't know that they have all these rights, right? So we like I said, we go to the IEP. If there's something they don't understand, we explain it to them. And we tell them, if you don't understand it, don't sign it. You have to agree with it and you have to understand it. If you don't agree to something, don't sign it. Right. Because then, they get the power, right? Then you can't complain. Yeah. You signed it. You agree. Exactly. It's fine. So we work as a team and we know that how intimidating it is. And you are right. There was less resources back then, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
ABA is still pretty new. It's a new science. It's not that long. There's more diagnosis. Right. Now there's more tools. I know some people speculate and say, hey, it's, there's more autism or there's more, more issues. Now it's not true. It's just now we have the tools
the tools,
Yes, it's very different, right? We've always had it. We just didn't have the tools to actually count and be able to diagnose people on time, right? So now we have the tools, we have that support. It's not an epidemic. It's definitely the same amount. It's just now we have the tools to assist people.
No, and that's why I say I can see the difference, because even by me being in the schools, I see, like I said, in my school, we have us as mentors. We have the behavior team. We have the counselors. We have the psych. We even have a psych team. I forgot to mention that to you earlier. We have 2 ladies that's part of the psych team. Okay. So we have all the support at the school that we pour into these kids, and we try to help them and teach them. So the support, I definitely see the support now. And then companies like yours, right? Like, we didn't have that, like I said, back 15, 20 years ago. Like,
and some kids need it, right?
Yeah,
a lot of kids do, actually. Everyone needs it, basically.
Everybody needs it.
Everyone needs it. Everyone needs it. And we all, it's very helpful when everyone works together. But back then, it was more, and even maybe if we go past more than 15 years, right? It was like, no, you do this, that's it. You don't get it, you're done. You misbehave, it's because you're a bad student. That's not the case, right? That's not the case. So we have to figure out, what's going on, right? It's very different, right? Back in the days, you learn differently. For example, my mom always gives me the example that she used to write with her. I'm left-handed, by the way. She used to write with her left hand, and at her school, they tied up her hand so she can use her right hand. Not okay to do that now, right? And in fact, I think about last year or 2 years ago, I had a parent ask me, like, hey, can you have my kid write with their right hand instead of left? And I said, no, I cannot do that, and I will not do that because it's unethical. Your child is doing it. The outcome is correct. There's the only reason we consider a maladaptive behavior or behavior that we have to interfere if your child is not, it's a safety issue, right? They're hitting themselves, they're hurting others. It's a safety issue. They're not learning right? Or their social skills are not there, right? So those are the three things that we look at. If it's not violating any of that, we're not going to go
What's
ahead
the
and
purpose
just
of them wanting to
write with a specific
Yeah,
hand.
like,
There's none.
There's nothing. Yeah. Well, I mean, I've heard that people, and I don't know if I agree with this, people that write left-handed are more creative. But I do know a lot of people, because I come from a creative background, but I'm right-handed. I can write with my left hand.
Mm-hmm.
I just choose to write with my right.
Okay, so you have tricks. You can do both.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I do know in my past industry, the entertainment business, a lot of the creators was left-handed. So it might be some truth to that. I don't know.
Maybe. You know, I don't think there's research on that. Maybe we could find that out and have some research on that. Like start, let's do some votes. But yeah,
I don't know. But you're creative. You're left-handed.
I don't know if I'm creative, but yeah, I am definitely left-handed.
You got to be creative. You have your own company.
I have ideas. Yeah, I guess a little bit creative. Yeah, it's my passion. My passion is to see people's lives improve, right? Like I said, I was a teacher first, right? So even when I was young, like I always want to improve something. I want to improve everyone's lives. I want to have a system where we all live better. If I see you being successful and thriving, great. That makes me happy, right?
Exactly.
I like seeing that.
Yeah,
I like the
that.
community uplifting each other and coming together and just, everyone succeeding.
Right.
That's the main goal.
So speaking of that, succeeding, right? Let's talk about confidence. That's something you work on as well, right?
Yeah.
Confidence.
Yeah, we definitely work on that.
Confidence. What is the difference in confidence in today's world, or today working with kids today, that you see a big difference?
I do see a lot of kids lack of it. We definitely give them reinforcers and we reassure them, but it is something that's very important to have, right? You have to be confident in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. And so we tell them like, hey, you got it, right? And sometimes even when we're doing like one-on-one, right? If I ask you, I'm gonna give you a really basic one, right? If I ask you 2 + 2, right? And you're like 4, and we're like, no, you got it. Like you don't have to, it doesn't have to come up with like
Why'd you
question.
hesitate?
Like you hesitate so much. We're like, you're doing a great job, So I think reinforcement helps a lot. I think the lack of confidence because you don't get reinforced enough. And so we do need that reinforcement for everyone, right? But
do you think social media plays a huge impact in people's lack of confidence?
I do. I think it could be intimidating. I think sometimes you see shows that are not real and you're like, those are not, those are the standards, but they're not realistic standards, right? So you start to compare yourself from what you see on TV, and not everything that you see on TV is real. Majority of the stuff is not real.
I mean, even
right?
No, and it's not. Even the social media stuff is like, it's not real.
Right, yeah. You can use filters, you can make up something, you can always you can look like you have a perfect life, but not have a perfect life.
Right.
You can make it look like that, but not actually have it.
But do you find like the majority of your clients, do they lack in that?
Everyone is different. I have a lot of kiddos who are confident. I have some that are not. I have some that that's concept that's not even really thought of because they're not even there yet. So there's a lot of variety with my kiddos and my clients. But yeah, that's something that we can, like I said, we can foster it, right? We reinforce certain things, and we reinforce when you're getting correct answer, and we always want to make sure that you are getting that reinforcement. Like you said, you have positive psychology, right? So ours, same thing, right? We want to reinforce everything that you do that's good, so that way the behavior continues, right? So we talked about reinforcement last time. That behavior will continue if it gets reinforced, and then you continue growing.
So remember, I always say this. I just had this conversation because I talk a lot to a lot of people. But literally, I was just out to lunch earlier, and I was talking to somebody about confidence and something you just said, confidence and something, because I did something, and she was like, Micah, you're good at it. I said, I'm not good at it. I said, I just have confidence in myself.
Right.
Right? I don't like a lot of people because they always do. They say, "Mike, you're good at it." I'm like, no, I'm not. I just have confidence in myself.
Yeah.
I don't believe this professional or expert. Like I just have confidence in myself of what I'm doing.
Right. Your confidence in your skills.
Yeah. But it's like I'm not a professional.
Right.
I don't consider myself a professional.
I mean, you're a professional in your art. So I would say, yeah, of course. See, and there's your confidence.
Oh, when I was talking to a friend at lunch, and I was telling her, about positive psychology, right? Because that's what I do. So I'm always like, what if people, like when you tell people to do something, right? They always come up with the answer is, well, what if this goes wrong? Well, what if it don't work out? What if, whatever. But I always say, well, what if it do work out?
Right.
Like, what if it do?
And
like, there's a flip side to that,
yeah,
right?
Right.
But people never think about the positive side to it. They always think about what can go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where I get my confidence from because I'm always like, well, what if it do work out?
Right.
Like the lottery, like, right? You can't win it unless you're in it. That's what I would say. I play the lottery. Like, what if I do win? Yeah, it's 1,000,001 chance that I'm not going to win, but I think about, but is there a chance?
Right.
So what if I do?
Yeah, right. And so that was my fear too, right? When I started the whole ABA agency, right? Like, what if I don't make it? Well, if I don't, I don't, right? And if I make it, I make it. I still wouldn't say I made it, but I'm still working on it, right? And I'm still learning. I'm definitely not perfect. I'm far away from perfect. I'm still learning things. And I'm just trying, like I said, I'm doing my best to give my best services to the families and the best I can to support these families and be there for them when they need it. So all I can do is do my best, train people the best that I can in my abilities, and have them train, continue my work. Because obviously I can't see all of my clients, right? That's just impossible. But that's why I have trainings. That's why we work with people. That's why we just have like these intense trainings. We always give bonuses when you become RBT certified, which is registered behavior technician. You take courses, it's actually a 40-hour coursework. It's not that long. You can do it online. You take the courses, you take a test, and you're certified. So that's good for like behaviorists to be certified on that. And like I said, all you need is 40 hours. To be a BCBA is different, but just to be certified, you just need 40 hours coursework, work under a BCBA, because you can't be certified without having a BCBA sign up on your hours.
See, my course was 9 months. I can do 40 hours.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Yeah. My course was a few years.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's because you're a professional.
Yeah, technically, yes, I am in my field. You are. Mine is a master's degree, 2,000 hours, then a state test.
2,000 hours?
Mm-hmm. Internship, yeah.
See, that's a lot.
But again, for hiring, and we're always looking for supervisors. And if you want to do your internship with me,
what do you need to be a supervisor?
You should be enrolled in a master's class or have a master's degree, and that's basically it. And you should be in related field, so in ABA or related field. If you want to be a BCBA, right, a board certified behavior analyst, which is what I have, you need to be enrolled in a master's class or have a master's in ABA, and you do your intervention hours, your supervision hours, with me, and we do have another BCBA in LA that we work together, and we meet every month, and we do the hours, and we go supervise you, and you get those hours. You work with us, you get paid, and you get your hours for your internship. That one's a bit longer. Cause
it is.
Yeah.
You're talking about school now.
Yeah. Now you have to have a master's degree for that one.
Yeah, you're talking about school.
And 2,000 hours, yes.
Wow.
But the RBT is 40.
RBT, okay. Yeah, I was just talking, like I said earlier, me and my ex-wife, we're good friends, and she's on her second master's, I think, going for something.
That's awesome. One master's is hard.
I know.
That's hard.
I asked her, I was like, why are you going for your second? Like, but because she loves school.
Okay.
She loves school. So, I mean, to me, I don't like school. Like, I struggled. Well, I'm not going to say I struggled. My 9 months course of positive psychology was long to me, but it was fun. I enjoyed it because it was something that I was really interested in.
Yeah. And that's the key.
Yeah.
When you get a career, so yes, in school you have to get your 2 years of general education, which is not everyone's cup of tea, right? And I struggled. School was never really my thing, but I struggled and I still did it, right? And then I got into education and learning and teaching concepts, and I really loved it. And that's kind of my thing. So now I'm thinking of either going back to school for my PhD and just becoming a doctor, same field, or even getting a second master's in Chicano studies and start teaching history in college level. So that's something that I'm looking into, but I think I need a little bit more time to get my company more stabilized.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, ever since I've been in the schools now, I've been thinking about, okay, what other certification or degree can I go after that's going to help me? Because I'm always trying to evolve.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm always trying to evolve and grow.
You could be a BCBA.
So you just scared me with that 2,000 hours. I was in real estate for many years, and I never had my license. And you know why?
Why?
Because it's 3 hours of testing, 150 questions, and I didn't want to do 150 questions. So you talking about 2,000 questions? I didn't even want to do
2,000 hours.
Oh, yeah, but 2,000 hours. Okay, for 3 hours. I didn't want to do 3 hours.
No. So you're okay. So 2,000 hours working hours, meaning you're already doing it.
Okay.
You're working with kids.
Yeah.
That's it. That's your internship hours.
Okay.
So let's say you have a master's degree or you're working on your master's degree and you're like, hey, Jessica, I would love to be a BCBA, right? And I'm like, okay, cool, right? And I hire you, right? And while you're working with your kids, that counts as hours. You see? So it's not scary.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
because you're doing it. Yeah.
Okay, that's not scary, but it's the work that I got to do for the masters, though. That's the scary part.
But it's something that you love, right?
Yes.
I mean, you're learning concepts. You're learning ABA. You're learning, token economy, pre-MAC, first this, then that. You're learning concepts that you're going to use with your students. And you talked about applied positive psychology, right? This is applied behavior analysis.
Right.
So same thing. You just have that. Your classes are all going to be within the same concepts. And you love doing that. You love research, right?
I do.
There you go. So it's if your passion is there, you can totally be a BCBA. And you know what? We need BCBAs. So the number of BCBAs are very low in the entire country, not just California, but entire country, right? That's why insurances now let you do 3-tier system, right? Where you have a BCBA, a supervisor, mid-tier, right? Where you're not a BCBA, and then you work under a BCBA because one BCBA can't be the supervisor all the time because we don't have that many BCBAs.
Okay.
So there is a need. So if you get a BCBA and you become a board certified behavior analyst, that's a career that gets paid well, and you're never not going to have a job, right? Because it's something that everyone needs, right? So it's a good career. That's, like I said, it's my passion. I didn't know about it before. Like I said, my thing was teaching. I still teach, just at a different level, right? I'm not in a classroom anymore, but I'm still teaching. Yeah. I'm still teaching my students. I'm teaching my staff. I'm teaching everyone, right? I'm still teaching. So I still love that. I still have my passion. So yeah, you can always become a BCB. You can come into our team.
Now you got me like really thinking, because I was really thinking about that. Now I'm really like, because I want to grow. I even told the company that I'm with, because I'm contracted with the company I'm with.
Okay.
So I'm not a actual employee. I'm just contracted. But I told them I want to grow with them because I love what they're doing.
Okay.
But even if it's to, because they're even trying to go into different fields. Like, right now we're just in the mentorship program, but we're starting to do SEL learning as well.
Okay.
So I know they want to grow as well.
Yeah.
So.
And it is a growing field.
No, it is.
It is. I mean, like I said, it's a little bit different what you do than what I do, right? But it's any field that helps others. I think it's a growing field, right? And in this specific field is something that we don't have too many BCBAs, and there's a lot of careers out there that we don't have that it involves teaching. So I'm looking for a speech pathologist. let me tell you how hard it is to be a speech pathologist, to find a speech pathologist, right? I want to add a speech pathologist in our team because I think that would be great. I do know, obviously, we have an ABA. We work with all behaviors, right? So we teach speaking and vocabulary, and, we do that as well. But a speech pathologist has their license specifically on that, right? OT, same thing. Occupational therapist, you have a license on that. Physical therapist. So those are all great things to... In my perfect world, I would love to have all of them so we can all work together and I can offer it to our families. Right now I'm looking for a speech pathologist and I cannot find one at the moment. It is so
crazy.
hard. Yeah. So although those professions are professions that we need, there's a need.
But do you think there's a lack of them because of the funding?
It could be. Also, maybe not the knowledge. Like I said, I didn't know about BCBAs until later in life, right? It's not like I grew up and I was like, I wanted to be a BCBA, which I can show you this cool book that I found on. I have 2 books. But yes, right? So I have books that kind of explains what we do, right? So I have this one that says, I know what I want to be. I love ABA, right? And then I have this one, I want to be a behavior analyst. So this explains it to kids, what it is. And I love this because when I was a little girl, I didn't know about this. I wanted to be a teacher because that's what I like to do, right? But I didn't know that this existed. I didn't know this career existed.
Right.
So I think the knowledge of it, I think that's something that's important. I don't think there's a lack of knowledge in these careers. Like, I don't know if schools are really pushing these careers. They're not, right? So we need these careers. We need BCBAs. We need speech pathologists, OTs, PTs. We need all that. So the need is there. Definitely want to make sure that all schools kind of tell you, like, really all the careers out there. But I think maybe the lack of knowledge that those careers even exist. Because, again, I did not know anything about ABA or BCBA until I was an adult and I was a teacher.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you. But also just believe funding. I don't work for the district, so I can probably say this. There's a lot of waste that school districts use their money for. Okay. There really is. I see it because I'm in the school. Right. They spent, and I think this is why, like I said, I was just in a meeting and they was talking about going towards more programs that have the data driven behind it, the science back behind it. Because I think before, like, I go to these schools and I see like all this sports equipment that most of them don't even use. But that's because, every school has a budget, and at the end of the year, they have to use it or they lose it.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Right? So they kind of just buy a bunch of stuff.
Right.
And it's like, you just wasted money that you could have used for a program like yours or something else that's going to really help. Right. Like, I love sports. Don't get me wrong. I love sports. I love the kids having the equipment there. But I feel like it's too much equipment. Because they don't even use it. Like, there's so many balls and equipment that's still in boxes that's been there for years.
Yeah, and it's just a waste. And it could have been used on something else.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, I think they just someone needs to, like, really reevaluate, the funding and, like, be realistic.
And then also, not just that, but also the way schools get funding, and I learned this when I was getting my master's in education, is through the area that they live in, right? Like, if it's a place that it's low income, this funding is not going to be there. Right. And so these students need the funding, right? So they don't have the programs, not because the money's there and being wasted, because they're considered low income and they're not getting the funds that they need for the services that they need, right? So that's another issue that we're having, right? So we have areas that are higher incomes. Their school is going to waste things, or they're going to have a lot of things, a lot of services, because parents are like, oh, wait, my child needs this, right? Because then you have more knowledge, and you have those parents who are going to fight it, especially if their income taxes are higher and the school is getting more funding. So those parents are definitely like, hey, my child needs this and this and this, and be more involved, as opposed to a school with lower fundings. There is no fundings. The parents might not know the knowledge because they have to work all the time. Right. So it's just, I think right now, it's just not a fair, I guess, how can I say it, distribution with schools. Not everyone's getting what they need. And like I said, who knows, with this new administration, we might even lose some more funding in schools. Yeah. So,
and that's the sad part. I mean, I don't like talking about politics, but that it is pretty sad.
Right. Funding sources. Yeah. When we talk about that, we have to be aware of what the schools need and how it gets there, right? Yeah. I definitely don't agree that it should be on taxes, and looking at the area, like higher income quality, right? You're gonna have better quality, and lower incomes, you're not gonna have that much funding in the schools. Yeah,
I even asked, and this is why I also love being in there, because I can see that the school district now, they are open to newer ideas, but again, they want the data behind it,
and that's fine.
No, right? No, and I think that's a very smart thing that they're transitioning to. Right. I mean, I don't know. I can't speak on if they've ever done that, but I do know they was hiring a lot of moms and pops, people that are like, oh, I got this program, blah blah blah. But now they're looking more for data-driven, science backing programs, and I like companies like mine that they got into the schools now are really working, and they see the impact. So, and that's another reason why they're going more towards that. Right. Which is a positive thing. Right. It's a great thing because it's working. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're lucky that in California, I feel like that's one of the states that they really push the schools, and having that. I can say not all schools are like that, not all states are like that, because I do speak with other BCBAs in other states, and I'm like, oh, you guys do what? So it's a little bit different, right? Yeah. So I guess it is good that in California we are a little bit more open, right? And we're looking at data now, right? Yeah. So that's amazing, right? Because if you just have ideas and you don't have data to show that it's working, how do we know it's going to be successful? Right. Right. So, like I said, with us, we're all about science-based, right? And we know we have the data to back up what we are doing. Right. So I think it's important to have that in schools too. I think it's great that your schools and the districts are pushing to now more data-driven ideas than just, I have a thought.
No, right. And that's something that I learned in positive psychology is we always reevaluate, okay, what works, what doesn't.
Right. And you have to evaluate the data, right? Analyze the data, which is something we do too,
but
right?
To know what works and what doesn't, you got to have the data to show that. If not, what are you measuring?
Exactly.
Like to say what works and what doesn't, like what are we measuring if we don't have the data?
Exactly.
Like we just, that didn't work. Like,
right.
No,
right.
It don't make sense. Like I need the data. I need to see it.
You need to see. Yeah, you need to see. Like I said, we have graphs and we have the data to back up everything we do, right? And again, not everything's going to work.
And I needed to see why it didn't work. Like all the data tells you all that. Okay, why it didn't work. Right. And maybe because it didn't work here, but maybe it works over here.
Maybe this client needs this, but and it didn't work, but that client needs this, right? And you can see. That's why analyzing data is so crucial. And that's one of the things we talk about when we do trainings. We always say data, data, data. If there's no data, it didn't happen. No.
And that's one thing like about the company I'm with is, like I said, I'm a lead. So we have lead meetings all the time, like with other leads, that's other schools. And we're always saying, okay, hey, this worked for me over here. And then another lead might say, okay, well, I'm going to try it this week. But it didn't work. Right. But because it's a different school, different environment, different students, it didn't work over there. But maybe it works over here with this school. So we always sharing ideas, always sharing the data. Like you said, like we're always sharing stuff to see what works and what don't. And that's how we're collecting our data. Right. Because we're doing reports on that too.
Perfect. And that's, the same thing we do, right? So it comes back how we're all doing the same thing. See,
we are,
you should be a BCBA. I think you're passionate. This sounds like it's your field.
It is. I found my purpose. I love working with kids.
Yeah. You should be a BCBA.
Yeah. And because because my son has a disability, but I've been working with kids with autism and disability, all my life.
Right.
Remember I used to do AYSO, the Epic League. I haven't done that in over a year because I've been out here with the school districts. But I want to get back to that because I think my son said he starts again in a couple of months.
And you do the one in Lancaster, right?
No, Valencia.
Oh, Valencia, that's right. I know you were in a location because I was telling you that I'm very involved into ASO, but I do it the one over here because
matter of fact, Bella, I think I was telling her.
You throw me off with Bella, but okay, go ahead. Yeah, I know who you're talking about now. I'm like, what?
And I was talking to her, and she was supposed to introduce me to the person that does it for AYSO out here. But
Dina. Her name is Dina.
Dina?
Yeah.
Okay.
I get your contact.
Yeah. Because the only reason why I was still doing it in Valencia is because that's where my son goes, because he lives in Santa Clarita.
Oh, right.
So that's
that
the
makes
only
sense.
reason why, yeah. But I did, at one point when I first moved out here, I was like, I want to, because I love helping kids. Like, I enjoyed it. I did say I wanted to volunteer some of my time to do it here.
I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that I heard that they need coaches here.
Right. Well, they all do. They all see. Okay, so this is the thing. They all need help coaches, but
they do.
I always told them, and I've been a head coach. I was even an assistant director for the league out there for a couple of years. So I said, I don't mind coaching. I just don't want to be the head coach. That's a lot because of my time strength. I know what I can give you. Mm-hmm. I can be a great assistant coach. I just don't want the whole responsibility as being a head coach. Because I don't believe I have the time to give to that, and I'm just being honest and fair.
How much time is it in Valencia?
Well, we have practice every Monday, and the games is on Saturdays. But it's coming up with the drills, coming up with the game plan, and all this stuff. Gotcha. Like I didn't want to do that. Okay,
because I know here same thing. We have. Well, not we have. Why did I include myself?
I know. I was like, are you a coach?
No, I'm not a coach. I just know about it. No. They have practice.
Hey, that's how you get recruited.
And you know what? They do know me, so I'm always around there. I help them a lot. We co-work. Like I was telling you, I work with Rose. I work with Dina and her soccer team, where she's the one who does the AYSO here. What was I saying? I lost. Oh yeah, so Tuesdays they have trainings and Saturdays they have games. I know they have different teams or whatever. I know one of our BTs, he's one of the coaches to one of the teams. So since he works with us, he also kind of has the idea of the heroes thing to keep it going. So he works there, and then some of our clients go to the games as students, or they play games. They play in the game. So a lot of our students actually go, and that's why I know about it, right? Because a lot of our students happen to be in the team.
So I would love to get in contact with them and see if I have some time to help out.
Yes, I will give you the information.
As I said, but I don't know if I could do a head coach because that's a commitment. Because that means you got to be there every Tuesday, every Saturday, and if I can't be there, I'll feel bad.
I mean, I think they're flexible. And this is from what I've seen, right? Because obviously I'm not part of it, but I do see that we do have a BT that works there, and sometimes he's like, hey, if we have events, he'll be like, "Hey, Dina, I can't make it to this specific game because I'm working with the company," and then usually they'll have a replacement, so they'll have someone to step in, right? I have my nephew; he helps too, so he's more like an assistant, right? So he helps the team and he volunteers, right? So it's always, it's great. There's so many pros on it.
No, and it's fun. I love doing it. But like I said, and talked about this earlier about it's summertime, so it's because I'm on the board of Action for Kids. I'm gonna be out there more now this summer doing events.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So I don't know the time. And even though because of the school hours that I have, I work school hours. So I'm off all summer, which is a great thing.
Okay.
But it's a good thing and it's a bad thing because I don't get paid. That's the bad thing.
That is a bad thing. That is very bad.
I'm actually trying to figure out what I'm going to do for those 2 months.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I love my income.
Yeah.
Even though I think I can survive those 2 months, but I don't want to put myself in that situation, right?
Right.
Like I want income to still come. So right now I'm trying to figure out, okay, do I want to work in those 2 months, or well, I'm still trying to figure that out.
Well, I can't tell you what you're going to do because obviously those are your your choices. And like we said, everything has a consequence, right? So
Yeah,
your
exactly,
consequences.
exactly.
And so, but yeah, I will tell you that I've worked. Like I said, a lot of my students are part of that team. I have BTs that work there, and it's a great team. That is something that I do see the kiddos makes them happy to see that. To see their progress, right? To see them learning, hey, I can kick now, or I can,
Right.
And again, we have all types of. Why do I keep including myself? I swear, I'm not part of. They have all types.
I feel like you want to be.
No. I can't. But I feel like because I work with them so much, and a lot of my students are part of it.
You are a part of it, in a sense. You are a part of it.
I mean, not directly. It's just
No, but I know. But even if it's indirectly, you're still a part of it. You're still part of the whole system that makes everything works.
I don't know about that, but yeah, I'm there, right? So like I said, my students work, are players, and
Yeah.
we're at
so
in the
you
field,
help them with their behavior, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So what they're learning from you and your company is they're taking that knowledge and that skill now, and you can see it on the field.
Yeah.
So you're still part of that system that makes it work.
Right.
That's what I mean by that.
Yeah. Okay. Indirectly. Yeah.
Indirectly, yeah. You're
Yeah.
still part of it. Because it's important.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
even like when I was doing it in Valencia, a lot of the kids, they had one-on-ones that would come there. The parents wouldn't come. If their one-on-ones would come.
Yeah.
So they're part of it.
Yeah, and sometimes the BTs go with them.
Yeah.
So they practice, they do what they have to do, and the BTs there too.
Because it's a perfect opportunity for them to work with them while they're engaging with the public and doing other stuff outside of the home.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and there's other ABA companies that I see that they have their their students and they go there one-on-one. So yeah, it's like I said, it's a big community team effort that goes on.
You're part of it. But I would love to, if you can, one day.
Yeah, I can. Like I said, they have practices Tuesdays. I think it's Pelona Park. Yeah, I think that's the park, right? That's what it's called. Yeah. In Palmdale, they have their practices. I think it's 6 p.m. if I'm not mistaken. I can give you the contact information of the people who are in charge of that, and if you want to do it, that's totally up to you.
Okay.
Yeah, you can help out with the community.
Okay. We'll see.
Or you can become a BCBA.
Okay.
There you go.
You got me really thinking about that now.
Yeah.
How to think about that. Maybe I'll take a course during the summer.
Mm-hmm. Maybe try getting your RBT hours. See if you like it.
Okay. What's that? That's the 40 hours?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then I'll let you borrow one of my books. You can read. See what we do all about.
I think I already know. Like I feel like I'm already doing like most of it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm already doing most of it.
Yeah. You don't have the jargon. You don't have the vocabulary, and
and
you're not certified. But if you take those courses, if you take the 40-hour coursework, you'll be certified.
Okay.
So
right.
Look at it and see if you like it. Maybe you'll love it, right? And maybe
I know I would love it. I know I will.
Okay.
I know I would. That's no question. That's not even a question. Like I know I would love it.
So what's stopping you?
The time to do it. The time to do it. Be honest with you. You know what? Because I'm going to be honest with you. I never liked school. I don't like studying. I don't like tests. Well, I'm going to take studying out because I actually do like studying because I do read a lot.
Yeah.
Like I have my favorite books.
You like doing research.
Yeah, I do. I love reading.
Right.
So the studying part I do love because especially when it's something that I want to know. Like I'll jump on the computer and I'll do my research.
Right.
Like that's how you get knowledge. I read books. Like I read a lot of mind books. Like I'm reading a book right now called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. It's all about neuroscience and biology and all that, about how our brain works. I love reading books about how our brain works.
Right.
Because if you can understand how your brain works, how the morphins and everything, how your brain is connected to your body and why you go through all these things, I love that.
Exactly. What do? We observe behaviors, right?
Exactly.
And just to be on the record. So BCBAs does not mean that you have to work with children with disability or adults with disability, right? That's just my field. That's my passion. What we do is we work with all kinds of behaviors. So there's some BCBAs who do marketing and like what behaviors you can do to sell your product, right? That's not my thing, but there's also BCBAs for animals, right? Like how to train animals, you know? Because we look at everyone's behavior and we figure out how to manipulate the environment to get certain results in certain behaviors. So that's what we do, right? So my passion is kids and adults with special needs, right? So it is my calling, but there are different ways that you can use your degree,
right?
You know.
But see, so that's my passion, working with kids, and
you're like me.
Yeah, because I was that kid that wish I had someone like me. Right, growing up. And so because of the way I grew up and all the struggles and adversities I went through, I want to help this generation to not go through that path, because I went down a hard path. Even though I made it through it and I became successful in my career, I want to show them that even if you are on a hard path, there's a way out.
Right.
A good way out.
Yeah, there's always a way out.
There's always a way out. There's always a better path. And doesn't matter how old you are either.
No.
You can always start over and change your life around. But it's a choice. You have to want it.
Yep.
So
every behavior has consequences.
Right. So that's why I love that. And I love knowing about that. I love how to change behavior. Just that whole knowledge. That's why I read all these books now.
Yeah.
Because I'm learning right now.
So
I'm not a professional.
You would be great. I mean, yeah. I think it is a calling, right? Except for me, it's definitely a calling, and I love it. I love my job. Like you said, sometimes it feels like you're not working, right?
Oh, that's why I said earlier, I made that comment earlier. I feel like, you guys really pay me for this? Like,
right.
Because it's not work.
Right.
It's definitely not work.
It feels fun, right? And that's when you asked me why I did, cosplaying and Viva Superheroes. Because I wanted to make it fun, right?
You took fun to another level.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I want to make it fun. It doesn't have to be about, okay, we got to sit down, we got to work, No, make it fun.
Yeah.
Make it where they want to be there, right? We always teach our new therapists, right? The first thing you're going to do is build rapport with the client.
Yeah.
You're going to figure out what they like. You're going to play with them. You're going to do whatever activity. Again, if you have a 5-year-old, you might be playing, Legos. But if you have a teenager, you might be shooting some hoops, right? Like, there's so many things. Use your environment.
So in my field, in my school, we call that a 2x10.
Okay. I didn't know that.
So it's a 2x10. It's a restorative practice tool. It's called a 2x10. So like when I get a new mentor, I just say, you know what? For the next 10 days, I just want you to observe and only spend 2 minutes a day with this person for 10 days. Not to tell him what he's doing right or wrong, but hey, what did you have for lunch last night or dinner last night?
Yeah.
What movie did you watch? Get to know him.
Get to know him.
For 10 days, but only spend like 2 minutes for it. Nothing big. Don't have no big conversation. I mean, obviously, if a kid just wants to have a conversation, you talk, great.
Yeah.
But it's
so
just
the length, because people and parents will ask me, right? Like, how long are you guys going to be able to report? Whatever length, the duration that it's going to take for that student or client to get comfortable with my staff, right? There's some students that are like, okay, one day, yes, we're awesome, right? But there's some that are like a week and you're like, oh, I still don't really know you, right? Like, I'm still going to, I don't know, right? And it's fine. We are there to be there for them, and whatever, whatever length it takes, we'll be there. We'll just always be there, give you that support. Once you're ready and you start feeling comfortable with us, then we'll start, hey, we're going to learn, we're going to do some programs here and there.
It's not an overnight thing.
Nope.
And every kid is different. I remember to this day, matter of fact, a team member today noticed this one girl. She followed me around all day today. At all recesses, she just came looking for me.
Oh, she felt comfortable with you then.
No. Well, that's because in the beginning, she was one of my teammates' mentees. All of a sudden, I think it started yesterday, she became mine. I mean, not officially mine, but she just starts following me around. And she's in the 5th grade. And in the beginning, she had, like the first day I met her, she had a 49ers jersey on. And I was like, oh, you're a 49ers fan? She was like, And so whenever she came up to our group, you know, she would always talk to my teammate, and then she would just kind of give me this look. And it was like just a funny little thing we was doing. And I was like, what's up? And she'd be like, I was like, I'm going to do that to you every day until you give me a dap. And then it's just like friendly banter, like, right. And she knew what I was doing. I was playing with her. And she knew it. But it turned out to where, like I said yesterday, like we just built this rapport.
Yeah.
Without even having long conversations or anything. It was just little playful things every morning. Like, hey, how you doing? Good morning. She'd be like, And every time she wear her 49 jersey, it was like, you already wore that again today?
Yeah.
She'd be like, listen. You know?
You start feeling comfortable. And she feels comfortable with you.
And now, like, all day today, I promise you, she would just follow me around. And she was in a bad mood this morning, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And she felt comfortable enough to me. Cause I was like, because yesterday she was tired yesterday, so this morning she came up to me and I was like, "Hey, what's wrong? Why you not? Where's the smile at?" And she's like, "Coach Mike, my alarm was going off all night, so I didn't get enough sleep." And I was like, "I thought we was gonna come to the school cheerful and with a smile, you know that." She was like, "I know, but I tried." I was like, "It's okay. We'll just try again Monday, right?" And but she was just following me all day.
Right.
And I was like, "You not awake yet?" Like, so even during lunch, she came up to me, and I was like, "You not awake yet?" I was like, "You need coffee?" She's like, "I need something." I was like, "Come on, let's walk with me." Because she didn't want to play with her friends. She just wanted to just walk. I was like, "Cool, come walk with me." You know, because I had to go to a couple of classrooms, so she just walked with me. But
she felt comfortable enough to tell you. Yeah.
I was like, so my teammates noted that. It was like, "Hey, so-and-so was like just real comfortable with you today. She was walking with you all day." And I was like, "I know."
Yeah.
Like, it shocked me, even though I knew we had a cool little relationship, like a little thing every morning.
It still shocked you that she
I didn't
felt
know it was
comfortable
going to turn into
enough.
that. Yeah. I was like, but we never know.
Right.
And the time duration, like, oh, cool.
Yeah. And that's what I always tell our BTs, right? Like, don't come in like, okay, we're going to start working on this program. You know, like, that's not what we're doing, right? So we're going to come in and we're going to build that rapport, make you feel comfortable, and then we're going to start reworking on them, you know? And your natural environment, right? Like I said, I always use this plan just because it's in front of me, right? But if you see that the client is gravitating towards it, you might want to pull it away just because you can work on manding, on communication, you can work on pre-med. There's so many things that you can do, right?
Oh, yeah.
So observe, right? And that's kind of what we do in the evaluation. We observe, right? We're observing them at home, we're observing them at school. And then when you go in, you have the program. Yes, you have the program. You know what you're going to be teaching and be working one-on-one with that specific client. But use your environment, to get them to learn, right? Make it fun. I'm a big believer in making learning fun. No, I'm really big with that.
Even with like when we first start with a mentee, we don't, even though we do check-in, check-outs, right? The CICOs with them, we don't start off with that. So if I have a new mentor that comes into a school and I give him, let's say, 3 mentees, right? I'm not going to give them the CICOs right away. The first week, I just want you to build that rapport, that trust, because you can't go in there first day. Okay, what are your goals? This is what we're going to do. Because they're going to look at you like, well, who are you? Like, no. So we're not going to do that.
No.
For the first week or two, I just want you for the first 2 days, I just want you to go in their classroom and observe them.
Yeah.
Just say hi to them. Oh, hey, good morning. That's it. I don't want you to do too much.
Yeah.
Just build that rapport, build trust.
Right.
Because trust is the most important thing. And that's one of the things that we don't do. We don't do disciplinary actions and we don't do directives. So because the kids have to feel safe with us. When something's going on, they have to feel safe with us to come walk with us and talk with us.
Right.
So we're not telling kids, go to class. Stop doing it. Pull your pants up. Don't do that. Like, we don't do none of that. Right. So we have to build that trust, and we can't break that trust. So even like if a fight breaks out, we're not allowed to break it up. A lot of duty aides and teachers be like, why you didn't do nothing? I can't touch kid, and I can't break it up. Because once we go in there and break up a fight, now they look at us as an authoritative figure. Now we're just like the duty aides.
Okay.
Now our trust is broken.
Right.
So, we can't break up fights. I know it walks a real thin line sometimes of moral, because even like when in our training, when they was telling us this, and I was like, well, if I'm on the field and 2 kids are fighting and there's no duty aides around and a kid is getting beat up, morally, I'm going to stop it. I'm not gonna let this kid just get beat up.
Right.
Like, I know I'm not supposed to, but there are other things that where I have been in a situation where someone's fighting, and we have strategic buttons that we carry on our
To ask for help.
yeah, and we have walkies too. But until someone gets there, we're supposed to either use our whistle, use our assertive voices, and try to break it up that way.
Right.
Like a lot of times when there's a fight, no one's around, walk away. Like I get in front of the kid and I look at you and I'm like, walk away. Right? I'm not touching you. I'm not breaking the fight up. I'm just telling you to walk away, and hopefully something clicks and did is walk away.
Right.
Sometimes that works.
Yeah.
So, because we're not supposed to break up fights, but if no one's around, I got to do something.
Right.
So that kind of works.
Okay. So for us, we're a little bit different on that department because we're by ourselves. It's not
Yeah.
a school, right?
Well,
so
yeah.
we can't ask for help. If it comes to where, again, we're gonna try our best not to get to that level, right?
Right, yeah.
Like I said, we're gonna give you choices. We're gonna
Yeah.
do antecedents before the behavior. We're gonna do everything so that behavior doesn't quite happen,
Well, yeah.
right? Now, if the client is aggressive, we do have to block. We use QBS, certified training, so we are allowed to block if the client is hitting
Yeah.
mom or hitting us. If they're hitting us, we definitely have to block, right?
Yeah.
There's ways to de-escalate the client, right? And we train you how to de-escalate and those methods to de-escalate, and that way the client de-escalates. But if we have to, yes, we can block.
Right.
And in very, very, very rare occasion where the client is going to commit harm to themselves or others, we might have to restrain, right? But we don't want to be the bad guy, so we're there and we're going to make sure to de-escalate, and we're going to calm down, and we're going to be fine again, and we're going to make sure that there's no hard feelings, right? We're not be like, oh, we're mad because you hit me. Nah, what happened, dude? Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Right? So we always show them that we are there, no matter what happens.
Yeah. Again, not taking behavior personal.
We don't take behavior
You
personal.
can't.
You spit at us because they do. I've been spit at many times.
Oh, I got beat up by a second grader a month ago.
It happens.
No, really. He was so
I believe
escalated,
you.
and he wasn't listening. So it's like, okay, so when a student is not listening in that situation, it's just like, okay, we still have to watch them, make sure that they're safe.
Right.
And that other students that's walking by are safe. So we still watching the situation. So I just happened to be there with a duty aide, and we just watching them, and he was just going around banging on doors, banging on windows, because he was just mad. And it wasn't like trying to break the door window. It was just like, tapping it and banging.
Right.
But then, he came up to me and he was like, I'm ready to go back into class. And I'm like, okay, so when we go back into class, are you going to sit in your seat and do your work? No. Okay, then you're not ready yet. And then that's all I said. Okay, you're not ready yet. Then he came up to me and he hit me on my arm. He was like, I want to go back in class. Okay, well, let me know when you're really ready. And he just wasn't ready. I had to just wait it out. I had to be patient.
Yeah.
And so eventually, I think at that situation, Dad was called and Dad had to come get him.
Okay.
Because he didn't de-escalate.
Oh, okay.
And
so
Dad was Dad was called, and we stood outside the classroom for about a good 25 minutes. Luckily, Dad was like close by.
Okay.
He came and he got him.
Yeah.
But I got beat out. He hit me, kicked me. The hits didn't hurt. When he kicked me in my ankle, it hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like, but again, I don't take it personal.
It's part of our job, right? Like I remember the first kiddo who I worked with before I was a BCBA, just as a BT, right? When I was working one-on-one. I went home and I almost quit. Like, I was like, this isn't my field, because I was like, okay, I think we're working on teaching him how to use a fork, because he always ate with his hands. We're like, hey, use your fork. And I just remind him, like, hey, use your fork. And he grabbed the fork, then he just stabbed me in my hand. I was with a BCBA that day, and she was like, she was amazed that I didn't react to it. Right. And I was like, all right, you still got to eat. Use another fork. Right? Did it hurt? Oh, my gosh, yes. That was so painful, right? But I didn't show it.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
And that's what I always tell the BTs. Like, if they hurt you, they do something, don't show them emotion. Don't react to whatever they're doing.
Right.
You're still going to have to redirect them. If, you have to say, if everything is situated, then you can be like, hey, Mom, I'm going to go to the restroom and maybe step outside and take, a breather, right? But don't react to the behaviors. Yeah. And that's what we all do, and we are all trained not to react to behaviors. And like I said, in rare occasions, when the client does escalate, we do have to block, right? And again, it's for more of their safety, right? Or they're they're going to try to beat up their little sister. We have to block, if it's something that it's nonstop, then we might have to restrain. But that's like very last, like unless something really dangerous happening, we really don't do that. Yeah. And then we teach alternatives.
Right. And then one important thing that I always teach my team is, and it's something that I know I do all the time, if I ever have an interaction with a kid like that, like the one I was telling you about earlier, the next day I'm always following up with them. Yeah. Like, hey, how we doing today? Yeah. Like I'm always following up with them, checking on them, making sure they're good the next day. Same thing.
Like I said, if the behavior happens, you can't leave. Yeah. You have to wait.
Yeah, you can't ignore that student the next day. Like, you have to go find,
you still act normal. Yeah. You still act yourself. So just make sure that they know that it wasn't, that you're not going to talk to them, you hit me, I'm going to be mad at you. No. You're going to be there for them. You're going to still support them. You're going to still help them out and make sure that, look, you learned that. That's not appropriate behavior, but you're still going to be there.
And that's something I preach to my team all the time. Because, my team is always, hey, Mike, what do we do if the kid is just not responding? Okay, well, we continue to show up every day and do the best we can and continue to be positive. If a student doesn't want to talk to you, still, when you see them in the morning, good morning, how you doing? Always, every day. Mm-hmm. At some point, something's going to click. Right. It could be a month from now, a year from now, but something's going to click. But we continue to show up, be positive, continue to greet that student. Don't ignore them if they walk by you. Right. Say, hey, David, how you doing? Right. Have a good day. Yeah.
Be there for them every day.
Yeah, every day, no matter what. Yeah. Got it. Because most of these kids don't have the positive influences that we bring every day. Right. They don't have that in school. So we have to be that and consistent.
Yes. You have to
they don't have that consistency that, they might not be having at home. One of my executives, I remember he did a post in one of our group chats. He said there's two types of kids that come to school. One, kid that wants to come to school to learn. The other kid comes to school for love. Oh, yeah. And it's true. And it's sad, but it's true. They don't get the attention or the support or love at home. So they come to school and they look for it. Right. So a lot of kids, when they acting out, that's them communicating with you. Mm-hmm. Again, we don't take behavior personal because you don't know why they're acting out. Right. They're actually trying to talk to you. Right. That's just their way of doing it. Not saying it's the proper way, but that's how we got to teach them the correct way.
And that's what we were talking about earlier, right? Remember I was telling you about maladaptive behaviors? We got to know the function, remember? Right. Last time we talked about 4 functional behaviors. So once we know the function of the behavior, then we know the why. Yeah. Why, right? And what are they trying to communicate with us? And then we're going to teach them an alternative, right? So like you said, do you remember any of the functions of behavior? I know that was last year.
No, but you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I have it in my notes still.
Do you?
I do. It might take me a minute to bring it up. I do. I really do. This is funny. Actually, I do. But tell me.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna pull it up.
Okay, so let's say one of the functions is attention, right? So maybe.
Wait. Oh. 4 functions of behavior. Yeah. Access, sensory, attention, and escape. Bam.
You got
November 3rd, 2023. I told you. I kept that.
Oh, man, that wasn't last year. That was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I kept that.
It's been a minute. It's been like longer. It's been quite a while.
I keep things that I want to eventually go back to and learn. And I knew I had it because I go through my notes all the time. Yeah. I know a lot of people, they write notes and they don't go through them. I go through my notes all the time and see what I have and be like, okay, at some point I want to know more about that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So let's say it's attention, right? Like say maybe their parents work too much, right? Mm-hmm. It's not a crime, but, sometimes you just get busy, right? Yeah. Life is just hectic, right? And they don't get that attention. And every time, I don't know, they throw a tantrum or they act out, mom or dad comes and they stop what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And they're like, hey, let's reprimand them. Don't do this, blah, blah, right? And so then the cycle continues because now that's the only form of them getting attention. So then if we know that it's attention seeking, we're going to ignore when they have, like, a maladaptive behavior, but we're going to teach a replacement behavior. Like, hey, We're going to teach you like, hey, let's talk to mom, or let's, excuse me, I wanted to say something, right? So we're going to teach you alternative methods that you're going to have the same function. So you're going to have the same outcome, but with more appropriate behavior,
Right.
where you're not screaming or throwing a tantrum, right? This one's really hard for parents because, especially when they go to community, sometimes kiddos throw tantrums. Like I said, they want an item.
Yeah.
And mom's like, here you go, just take it and stop, right? In stores and things like that in community. So sometimes when we go on extinction, we have to ignore it. It's really hard for parents. So especially when they're in public and people are looking at them and people are like, oh my gosh, they're starting to judge them. It's hard. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and be like, it's super easy. It's hard, but it's a commitment. And your team, and we're here as your team to help you, right? So we're going to be there and we're going to be like, hey, mom, ignore that. And then we're going to kind of remind them, like, remember, you got to ask, or you could prompt them. And then once they calm down and if they ask appropriately, then they can get the item. But we're going to put the behavior on extinction, meaning we're not going to reinforce that maladaptive behavior.
Right.
But like I said, it's a whole team thing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It is. Wow. It's a lot. It's a lot to this.
Yeah.
Like, we need like a whole season of shows to cover everything.
Like, start doing a season.
No, seriously, because it's just so much. I mean, I didn't even get to go through all my notes with you. Like, you had me write all these bullet points, and I didn't even get to go through all of them. But
I did. I do remember. I even messaged you. I'm like, hey,
I know. And you know what? I was telling my teammate earlier. I was like, I got to go send this email because I forgot to do it, and I got because I'm not used to sending out bullet points, and I completely forgot. But
you scared me though.
Why?
When you sent me the points, and I was like, oh man, am I gonna be ready? And I'm like, I don't know. I just got nervous.
I knew you was gonna be ready. I don't know why I scared you. But this conversation, wow, we're at almost 2 hours.
Oh my!
I know.
Wow. Yeah. See, I'm telling you, I am a ABA geek.
No, but I love it though because it's how I learn. Again, I tell people all the time, this is why I love having conversations. Even when I'm on the phone, like I don't like text messaging. I like to talk to people. Oh no, I hate text. I feel like text is more of a quick thing. Like, hey, this is where we're gonna meet at 7:00, or it's something quick, not to have any conversation.
Yeah.
People. I have so many friends that just love to conversate over text. That takes like 5 hours for like a 2-minute phone conversation. I'm like, dude, you just wasted 5 hours of my time that this could have been over with in 2 minutes over the phone.
Right. I don't like long text messages. If it's like quick updates, I don't mind. Like,
yeah, I'm saying quick updates. Yeah, that's fine. But no, I have friends that they don't like to talk on the phone. They want to text. I'm like, I hate that.
Right.
But most of my friends, they actually do call me. And they only call me every now and then because they know once they get on the phone with me,
you can just keep talking.
It's 2-3 hours.
Wow.
I was on the phone with somebody 2 weeks ago for 7 hours.
Wow. What are you talking?
7 hours.
Wow.
That was my record. I think the longest was like 5 hours the time before that.
Wow. That's insane.
Hours. No, I was like, wow, we're at the... And and it's funny because when we started the conversation, I was like, I can talk. And she's like, okay. She's like, I can too. And then I was like, we're at the 3 hour mark. And it just kept going on. I was like, we're at the 5 hour mark. Then finally I was like, dude, we just literally talked the whole work day, like 7 hours.
Wow. See, I wouldn't be able to do that just because my life is so hectic and like...
Well, to be fair, it started at 8 at night, and it ended like at 3, 4 in the morning.
So instead of sleeping, you guys were talking.
We talked, yeah.
Okay.
But see, I can do that. I'm used to only getting like 3-4 hours sleep. So for me, and especially
that's bad for you.
It is. I know.
You gotta take your 8 hours.
I shouldn't 8 hours. That is
I shouldn't
way
be talking because
too much.
I can't do 8 hours.
I know you.
I feel like I'm more sleepy if I ever do 8 hours. I'm gonna be more tired.
I know you're not doing 8 hours.
No.
But see, the thing about it is, if I can have a conversation with someone who actually knows how to conversate without me pulling a conversation out of them, or I can go on for hours.
Okay.
Like, because we talk about stuff like this.
Right.
Like positive psychology. We talk about life. We talk about the science behind things. Like, and again, person I was talking to, she very smart, very intelligent. So she was teaching me a lot of things. So when someone is smart and has a lot of knowledge that I don't have, I'm asking a million questions, 100%. Like I would have you on the phone. Like if this wasn't a show, you would not be leaving here for another couple hours. Like because there's so many questions. I'd be like, okay, we ordering takeout right now. Because it's so much. I have so many questions and so much that I love to learn.
Right.
And that's why I'm on the phone so long.
Okay, fair. There's nothing wrong with learning.
I love to learn.
Yeah.
I love knowledge.
Yeah, knowledge is everything.
Yeah,
I think the more educated everyone is, the better the world is. Like, we just all learn together.
Right. And for me, it's perspective, right? Because we all see things differently. We all receive things differently, deliver things differently. So a lot of times I want to know, like, how did you come up with that conclusion? Like, why are you thinking that way? I want to know.
Right.
That's how I get to know you. So our relationship is better because now I understand you.
Right.
So that's why I love talking to people.
That's good. That's
Instead
good.
of assuming like you don't know what you're talking about, but I want to know why.
Right.
So yeah.
So you always have to know the why, which is the function. But yeah.
No. People are like, Mike, you don't always have to know why. I have to know the why.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think you'll be a great BCBA because we always have to know the why.
Yeah.
We have to know the why.
I gotta know.
We got to figure out the function.
Yeah.
You know?
It only makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And once we figure out the function, then we can work with you a little bit more and we can help you out more.
I can understand.
Yeah, you can understand it, right?
Yeah.
Right? So it goes for everything. Everything in the world, you just have to, like, we have behaviors and everyone has behaviors, right?
Everybody do.
So we just have to know what the function is of each person.
Like what you said earlier, none of us is perfect.
Mm-mm.
We all have flaws.
We all do.
But if we can learn to understand each other,
Right.
this life would be so much easier.
And peaceful.
And peaceful, exactly.
Yeah.
No, seriously, no, 100%.
It would be, yes. We
So
have so
much.
many people that fight, right? And it's sometimes over something so silly.
You know, I haven't had an argument with nobody in about a little over 5 years. Something like that. I lost track, but it's been over 5 years since I had an argument. Like I don't argue with nobody anymore.
Yeah.
Like I want to have a healthy conversation, even if it's
Even if you disagree.
right. But I want to know. I just want to have a healthy conversation about it.
Right.
It don't matter. We can agree to disagree, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Because again, we all see things from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But once we understand that, it's like, okay, you can believe that. That's your choice,
Right.
right? And it's my choice to believe this, and that's fine. And we can
The
still coexist.
ideology is different. Everyone's ideology is different, right? Like religion, right? Religion, politics, everyone has their own opinion on certain things, right? And there's no correct one, I guess, but there's everyone's point of view.
Yeah.
Right? So
Like I just had this conversation with a friend of mine who's a Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
And very smart. And she was telling me why Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate birthdays. And she said because it's the root of things, right? So like the birthdays is the root of the candle. So that's why they know candles, blow cakes and all that, right? Mm-hmm. And because I like knowledge, I like to understand things. And I was like, well, do you really think that the root of the candle that was way back in the 1800s apply to today's world? Like people nowadays that celebrate birthdays, they don't know that. So they don't care. Like it's not, it doesn't apply.
Just like
right.
Doing it.
But I get for people that's more traditional, that dives deep into it like that, it matters to them, right?
Right.
But today's world, it doesn't apply because it doesn't matter to people because they don't know the history of it.
Right.
They don't know the root of it.
Right. And so it goes back to knowledge, right? So,
right.
You know, there's certain things that you know because of knowledge, right?
Right.
History, I feel like history is such an important subject in school, right? We should know all our history, good or bad.
Right.
Right? We should know all of it. And we should be able to understand history and know enough when we know it's repeating. That's what the purpose of history is.
Right.
So we should be able to be like, hey, we went through this chapter before in life.
History is data.
History is data. History is data, and that's why we love it, right?
Yeah.
And so when we have history, we can recognize certain patterns like, hey, wait a second, this is happening again, right? And we should probably do something. So it's important to know history, to know knowledge. That's why I'm a big believer that the more education, more knowledge people have, the better, the more outcome, your result will be better. If that makes sense. Your outcome will be a lot better with more knowledge than, I only know this bit, and so I'm only going to pick this because this is all I know. If you know history, you know data, you have that knowledge, then you're able to stop and be like, wait, I'm repeating something that already happened, and then the outcome was this, and I don't want that specific outcome, so I want to go ahead and change it myself. Right. So, yeah. History is important. History is data. I love it.
I'm not a big history person, but I do believe in history, and I do love certain parts of it.
Right. There's certain parts of history that my favorite, and then there's some that I'm not too fond of it. But I do think knowing all your history is important.
But again, if someone is very knowledgeable in a certain aspect of certain histories, and we're having a conversation about it, I'm gonna sit there and listen all day.
Right.
Because now I'm intrigued by it.
Right.
So
you're gonna ask questions.
You're gonna ask questions. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it's funny because sometimes a lot of our kiddos, they are really good at something. Like they can memorize certain things that I can't even do it.
Right.
Not as an adult, I'm like I can't. I don't know that, right? Like I can't memorize everything.
Cool question, because I had this conversation with somebody a few days ago. Do you believe that we use 100% of our brain or 20%?
You know what? I was reading somewhere where it was 20%, but then I was talking to my nephew, and he said, no, now research shows that we actually do use 100%. Right. So I was like, oh, interesting. If the data shows it, then, I got to go back with the data, and I'm not knowledgeable enough to actually tell you that I've actually made research on it. I know I had a conversation with my nephew who said that there is data shows that we do use 100%, which to me was like, oh, really? Because I thought we only use like 20%. Right. But I'm going to look into it. If he told me that, it's probably because it's true, and there's been some research. I always go with data. So if I don't know, I can't give you an answer, but I'm always going to go check the data. What are the facts?
Right. The question came up because I was watching this movie called Lucy with Morgan Freeman.
Ah, yes.
You saw it?
Yes.
I like the movie.
I do.
Right. So you know how they was like, if you go past 25%, then you like get all these superpowers.
Yeah, I used to think that.
Crazy.
Yeah,
like, right. And I was like, wow, this is interesting.
Yeah, I
See,
gotta
things
use
like
it.
that are interesting to me. Like it's like because it's the brain.
Right.
That's why I like reading new books. So when I saw that, I was like, oh wow. Like I actually want to go watch it again just because of that.
I want to be a superhero.
Yeah, like oh dang. But so I was talking to a friend about it, and he was like, "Oh no, we actually use 100%." And because he was like, think about this. He was like, you do a lot of things throughout the day, and he came up with this number, and I forgot the number. He was like, our brain we actually do, like I think he said 1,000 or 2,000 things on a daily basis that we don't think about.
Right.
We just do.
Right.
They're
like
just
right
automatic.
Now, you're sitting, you're talking, you're moving your head. Like those
right.
are multiple behaviors.
But we're not thinking about it. Like we're not using brain activity.
Right. Right.
It's like, see, your brain is working.
Right.
You just not conscious about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So he was like.
So back to knowledge, right? So when I saw that movie, I was like, man, that's so cool. Right. If I use 100% of my brain, I would become a superhero. I could fly, I can, all these things. And then my nephew, who's, very young, right? He's like, no, research has shown that we all use 100%. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay. Goes back to knowledge. What I don't know, I can kind of assume, right? But it's not the correct answer. Right. So it is important to have that knowledge, right?
Oh, he said that we use 2 gigabytes of data every day in our brain.
Oh, wow. That's very specific. Okay.
No, this dude, he's pretty smart. And like he does research and he like studies a lot of stuff. I was like, who came up with 2 gigabytes? Like, where'd you get that
like I said, if there's research and there's data to back it up, then it's true, right?
It's just crazy. But then I was like, okay, but what about for people that love to learn like myself? Like I love to read. I love knowledge. I love talking to people. I'm constantly getting knowledge every day, right?
Right.
So is my brain filling up? He was like, yeah, your brain is growing. I'm like, that don't make sense. Like, how's my brain growing?
When is
like
it
in size. Like, yeah, like that don't make sense. Like that, okay, that didn't make sense. So he was like, well, I'm not really sure about that, but your brain is growing. But then he went circled back. It was like, well, that's why your brain has the wrinkles in it. So when it starts to grow, you start getting these wrinkles and like something he was saying. I was like,
So I think next
Okay.
time we need to bring in a neurologist.
well, that's why I'm reading that book about neuroscience and all
There
that.
you go.
So it's like I want to know this. Again, I need to know the why.
Right.
I need to
so
know the why.
my
It's-
expertise is not the brain; it's the behaviors, right? So I can talk to you about behavior, talk to you about all that, right? But the brain is something else, right? And so I
Yeah.
always tell people, I'm not a psychologist. I won't talk to you about like your feelings. Not that I like. No, I don't believe in feelings. Obviously, we have feelings, right? But feelings is something that's internal, and I don't know if you're lying or not, right? But with behaviors, I can see it, and I can take data on it, and that's where we can have interventions,
Well, no, because you do behavior,
right?
so you can tell if someone's lying. Because everything you do with
Yeah.
your body is a telltale sign that you're lying.
Yes, so that if I'm
Because your body,
analyzing that person,
your
right,
body reacts to
certain things,
certain
and how
things
you're
in your
behaving.
brain, yeah.
But if you don't know someone,
yeah.
you're not gonna know their tics. You're not gonna know when they're lying, right? So when we analyze behavior, yes, I'll be able to tell when one of my students is lying because I analyze their behavior and I know what they do when they're lying, right? When my nephew lies to me, I know when he's lying, right? Because I analyze his behavior, so I know when he's lying. He has a little smirk that comes out, and I'm,
Oh yeah.
like I can tell when you're lying, right? But if you're good at it and you're not showing it, and you don't know the person, you don't know what signs they have, you might not know when they're lying. Because obviously people lie all the time.
They do. And I'm not a professional at this.
At lying?
No, at knowing if someone's lying.
Oh, okay.
Like I'm not a what do you call profiler?
Right.
But I am pretty good at it.
Okay.
So for me, and I do this with my students a lot, I ask certain questions before I ask
The question.
the
of
question
interest.
that I want to know.
Right.
Because I'm paying attention to your body. I'm paying attention to your answers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm paying attention to your facial expression because most people can't lie without their facial expression.
Right.
Like a professional liar can. That's why you got to look at the rest of the body. You got to
Right.
look at the breathing. You got to look at where their eyes go. They go to the left or to the right because now they're using certain brain, right?
Yeah.
So the professional people you got to really pay attention to. But people like students that don't know all this stuff, you pay
can
attention to the basic
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I ask a couple of questions first before I get to the real questions. And that's how I know if you're lying or not.
That makes sense. That
Yeah.
totally.
And I do that with adults too. I do.
Yeah. And it's a good thing to know. And it is important to know when they're lying.
My exes, both of them hated that.
Oh, that's
what-
right. You had two.
You said it like it was a
No,
bad thing.
I was like, wait, I forgot. Yeah.
Yes, I did. I've only had 4 serious relationships in my whole life. I think that's pretty good.
I beat you, but yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay. I'm not perfect.
I'm not either.
But they used to hate that because I'm big on behavior, right? So it goes back to behavior. If you're doing something that I don't like or that bothers me, I let you do it a few times. So I let you create this pattern. And then I talk to you about it. So now I have data. I can say, oh, no, well, last Tuesday you did it. Friday morning you did it.
Right.
And so my first wife, she used to be, well, why you didn't say nothing the first time? Because if I would have said something the first time, you would have been like, I don't always do it. You would have used that as
You
an
gotta
excuse.
take
So I let you do it.
to track the data.
Yeah. So it's like, no, it's a pattern. This is what you do this all. So when someone say you do this all the time,
Right.
right? And it's like the response is always,
No,
I
I
don't do
don't.
this all the time. Well, no.
Let me show you.
Yes, you do. It's a pattern.
Yeah.
But most people can't say that because even when people say it to me, I was like, well, when did I do it?
Right.
Don't say all the time when you don't have the data to prove it.
Right.
I do that.
Smart.
I'll let you do it a few times. So
And
I
then
can-
you're like, okay, here's the data. You
Yeah,
did it this.
so
You did
let's
it
talk
last
about
week.
it.
You did it. You know,
Yeah.
it is a pattern.
And they hate when I do that.
Hey,
But,
it's fine.
hey.
It works.
It's a healthy conversation.
It is a healthy conversation. I do believe in healthy conversations. I
Yeah.
think communication is the key to a lot of things. I think talking things out makes sense, right? Even if you disagree with something, I think it's good to,
Right.
and like you said, understanding perspective, right? You grew up differently than I grew up, right? We might
Right,
have
exactly.
different perspectives on certain things, right? So, understanding everyone's perspective and, having empathy, I think is important, right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't have empathy, you might be like, well, I don't care what you went through. right? So empathy is important to understand for
It is.
everyone.
Yeah, and I always talk about that's why I like to get to know people.
Right.
Because if you know someone's background or what they went through, then you have a better understanding of them.
Right.
Now the conversation is different.
Right.
Don't assume like this person is an asshole. Like if you meet somebody and they treat you wrong, don't just assume that they're an asshole.
Right.
Like it comes from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That behavior comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
So let's find out where it came from. Maybe they went through some type of trauma that they haven't, healed from yet.
Yeah.
So
and
now it's a different again,
form.
now I have empathy, understanding. Now it's a different conversation.
Right.
So yeah, that's why I'm big on conversations and, getting to know the why. Like, okay, I know this comes from somewhere.
Yes.
Like, why are you like this? I need to know why so I can know how to deal with you.
Right, right. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It goes back to BCBAs, knowing the functions and coming up with something.
Okay. You're going to have me do this. Maybe all weekend thinking about this now.
Yeah. And you have my number.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
But, I don't want to keep you because we are, wow. Okay, this is a record for me. I've never went this long. My video cut off, too. So I'm sorry, you guys. It's just audio at this point.
Oh, no. Is it?
No, yeah. My batteries only last like an hour, 45 minutes.
Oh,
so, yeah.
man.
Yeah, it's okay. But I didn't want to stop the conversation. But it's okay. Audio is great. Audio is good. So I'm not. But I do want to know, and I didn't, again, I'm going to get for this for the third show. I do want to know.
We have to have seasons now, right?
We have to have seasons now. I think this has to be a regular thing now.
Yeah.
Because our fields interact with each other and they work hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I love these conversations because, again, perspective. Like people don't realize that we're in a lot of ways alike.
Right.
Even though we do come from different backgrounds, different religions, different upbringings, but we all want the same thing. And we're all somewhat alike.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we're different doesn't mean anything.
Right. Yeah.
Like we have two different fields, but it's the same. And we have the same goals.
Yeah. It's important to have the same goals, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes, you and I, we have the same goals, right?
Yeah.
We have a lot of things in common in our field, but then we have other people that don't have the same goals, right? They have something else, right? They do it for different reasons. So it's still pretty hard, You still have to understand everyone where they're coming from, and not everyone's gonna be like you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be different. Everyone's gonna have their own opinion, own perspective, whatever background they have. It changes how people see certain things.
That is true. But I feel like on some level, everybody wants happiness, regardless if their happiness may look different than ours.
Right.
Everybody wants peace, happiness, success. Like we all want all these things. It just looks different for most people.
Yeah.
Some people even they go down the wrong path to get it because they think it's the easier path to get it.
Right.
But they still want it.
They want happiness. Yeah. Everyone, yes.
And
at
success,
one point,
right?
Right. So everyone does have that goal where everyone wants some type of happiness, and everyone's happiness is different, right?
Yeah.
So what function is that?
What function is that? I don't have that in my thing. Why are you trying to test me right now? What function is that? Wait a minute. I'm going to pull this up. I can't believe you test. I told you I don't like tests.
I know. It's a pop quiz.
And now, here we go right here. Everybody want access.
Yes. Got this. You got this. Yes.
No, I know, because, and that's the thing. Like, we all have the knowledge of all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We really do. It's just about having the conversations and things just like kind of make sense. Like, because I've been doing this now for a while, like that makes sense to me. Access.
Yeah. Access. We all want access to something, right?
Yeah.
And we all find ways of doing it, right? Now, everyone's reasons behind it is different, and everyone's is going to be different, right? Like, I was talking to a friend, and we were talking about, we went to the same school, but she didn't know a lot of the clubs that I was in or the things that I was in because she was focused on something else. And she was like, and I love her. She was like, your thing is helping people. She's like, my thing is numbers. So I was, because she's in accounting, and her clubs were accounting clubs. So she didn't, that's all of that was her circle of friends in school, right? My circle of friends was a little bit more, there's a lot more variety, right? Because I'm more in the human part, right? Where I'm always meeting people, I'm helping people. So that was basically what I was doing at school. So even though we were in the same school, I don't think the same year, but we were in the same school. Our perspective of the school was different, right? Yeah. She focused more on numbers and things like that. I focused more on humanity, right? And learning other people and having more of, community, be aware of community and be aware of how, how it impacts your lifestyle. So it's very different. So like I said, we were in the same school. We both got BAs, different fields of study, and different perspective in the school itself, So, like I said, that's why it's important to know the backgrounds. That's the way we can kind of understand. But everyone's happiness or access is different, right?
It is.
Yeah. And we just have to be aware of that.
Yeah, be mindful.
Be mindful of everyone.
Absolutely. So, I want to end this with, and I'm not going to do it with the relationship thing that I said I was, because that's just going to open up a whole nother hour of conversation.
I know, you did mention you were going to talk about that, yeah.
I did, because I know my next 4 or 5 shows are going to talk about that, so I kind of want to lead into it, but it's okay. I do want to just know what's next for you.
For me.
And for Viva.
Okay, so.
Any important dates for this summer?
Well, we just passed by Easter. You just missed Easter. We're probably going to have something on May. We're still working on it.
Okay.
Really, for the future, we're really big with Halloween and Christmas. Those are like big holidays for us, and we usually do something. We go all out.
Yeah,
I can see that,
yeah.
You've seen on our page, right? Our social media, you see how we just go all out.
You guys do. Yeah, it's fun, yeah.
Yeah, we make it fun. So we are going to continue with activities. We're going to keep growing. We're growing a lot. We have a waiting list now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. AV, I'm finding that I can hire people. LA, it's a little bit tougher to hire people in LA. I'm not sure what it is, so we have to kind of analyze the data and see what's going on that. But yeah, LA, we're still looking for therapists. We are looking for supervisors in AV. So anyone with a master's or wants to pursue this career, definitely we need people here.
Wait a minute. So how big of an area do you cover?
Oh, LA County.
All LA County?
Yeah.
LA County is huge.
I know.
Wow. I didn't know that.
So our main office is in Montebello. So it's by East LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I just thought you was out here.
No, yeah. And I do have a BCBA there. We are also in the AV area. Obviously, I'm here. This is where I live, so this is the area that I'm in charge of. I'm in charge of both, I guess. I do East LA too. I do all over LA. I have some clients in Santa Clarita. I have some in the Valley. So yeah, we are all over LA County.
Oh,
we're just trying to help as much as we can, and wherever the need is there, we are there. So want to make sure that we're helping all of those families that need that assistance.
Wow, I'm actually shocked right now.
Are you?
No, because I really didn't know you was like covering the whole LA County.
Yeah.
I just thought you was out here in AV.
I know, yeah.
And I knew you was growing,
which
is amazing, but I didn't know you covered that big of an area. That's huge.
That is huge. It's definitely hard.
Oh, so, I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the goal would be for everyone to have enough supervisors, enough BCBAs, and just continue growing. I want to fade myself out of the company. Like I said, I want to go back to school. I want to get either second master's degree in Chicano studies or my PhD and become a doctor in ABA field. But definitely, I need to focus on the company to make it more stable and hire speech pathologists. I want more services so I can offer the families.
Okay.
So yeah, that's basically the goal.
Wow. You got me speechless right now.
Wow.
I don't know why.
But you talk a lot. How is that possible?
I don't know. Sometimes I get stumped. People stump me sometimes because I guess my perspective of you in a company, I don't want to say small, but like that just like opened up like a whole nother level to me.
Really?
No, yeah, because that's huge. I mean, and it's great.
Yeah.
Because but I just didn't know you covered that big of an area. Like LA County is, people don't realize how big LA County is.
Right.
LA County is huge.
It is. It's super huge.
Yeah, so that's like, and that's why I'm looking at it, visualizing like, wow, that is a huge area.
And sometimes I think about it too, because I'm like, how on earth did I get this? You know, because I feel
Right.
like I feel like a dork sometimes, right? Like I'll do silly things, I forget something, right? And then I'm like, I have a company, I have a master's, I have a BCBA, my company has expanded a lot, and I'm like, I don't even know how I did
Dude,
that.
you're
I'm
amazing.
just like, what?
You're
out of
amazing.
a dream,
Stop.
right? Like I just wanted to help out. I mixed my personality into it,
Right.
and yeah, I mean, it started one,
But
then two.
You found your gift.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely would. Like I want to continue growing. I want it to be more stable. I know I have an office manager. I know she's overwhelmed because she has 2 locations. You know, like we're just covering everywhere. So yeah, it's hard. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, yeah.
I
can
have
imagine.
no social life anymore. But
Wow.
yeah, but I'm completely committed to the company.
That's amazing because they need you.
Yeah.
We need you out here.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, you do amazing work. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely continue growing, and hopefully someday it'll be stabilized.
It's already stable.
Not stable. I'm working on it.
So you sound like me now because people always tell me, Mike, you do so much for the community and you've made such an impact. And I'll be like, I ain't did nothing yet. Like for real, like I don't think I made a small dent, like compared to what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like and I'm not, and I am grateful and appreciative to what I become and what I do, and I know I've made an impact. But it's because it's my passion. But I don't feel like I've done enough yet.
Right.
Like I feel like I have so much more to do.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that one. That's how I feel. Like I don't feel like I reached to my potential.
Right, me neither.
Like I'm still growing. We're still definitely not perfect, right?
No, I'm still learning all this.
I'm still learning a lot of things. I told you I want to go back to school.
Yeah.
I want to go back to school. There's 2 things that I want to do, you know. I'm going to get a second master's and another PhD, you know, next time you can address me as doctor. I'm just kidding. But, you know, it is something that I want to do as well. And then just having the company continue growing. And
You make me feel like I need to step my game up right now.
What?
Like, wow. I feel like this small, like sitting next to you now.
No. What are you talking about?
Because.
No. Like I said, this is new to me. This is still, I mean, it's not new, right? Because I'm not like, oh, it's my first year, but it's still pretty new to me. I mean, I graduated the university at 2017, so it's not that long that I've been doing this.
8 years.
Yeah.
7,
Oh my
8
gosh,
years. 7, 8 years. What are you talking about?
Just hit me with my age.
Please.
You hit me with my age.
You're a baby compared to me. Stop it. But I'm definitely going to, I definitely want to enhance my knowledge and do something. Either it's going back to school or, I don't like school, or getting another certificate. Like,
Okay.
because I have like this wall now of certificates and everything, and I'm like, I want more.
You can always get
Because
more.
it feels good to even like when I go home and I look at it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is.
I know.
Like I actually want more because I love what I do.
Right.
And if I can enhance my knowledge to be even better, to help more, like 100%, I want to do that.
And I feel the same way. This is why I want to go back to school, right? So
Right.
I like degrees to hang them on my wall.
I know, but see, my degree, it has to be fun, or like
Yeah.
I think because I love the field now, I think I have to, like, yeah, back in the day I didn't like school. So, but now that I'm in a field that I love, and I think that's what's going to help me to like actually do it.
Yeah.
Like when I got my positive psychology, when I went to that month's course, it was so, like, I hated that it ended. So I was like, oh, I want more.
You loved it.
Yeah, I did. I was like, oh my God.
So if you go back to school with something that you're passionate about again, it's not going to feel like that. I hated school too. Remember I told you I got kicked out of school district when I was younger. You know, school wasn't my thing, right? I found my calling, and that's what's important. Like, I just kept going.
Okay.
So
I'm going to do it now. You just convinced me. You literally just convinced me. I'm going to do it.
Hey, see?
I'm going to do it, yeah. Because I want to do it, actually.
Yeah. So next season, we'll talk about it next season that we come on.
Okay, cool. Is that it for you? That's all that's new?
Yeah, that's it.
Nothing big over the summer? Or?
No, like I said, we'll continue having programs and things, but...
Are you going to do community events?
Or we do. We do. We post it on our social media, so follow us.
Okay. Well, tell them where to follow you from.
If you're on Instagram, VSBSABA. And if you're on Facebook, Viva Superheroes Behavior Services. So we have the picture. Well, I can't show you because we have no camera.
Yeah, we have no camera.
We have the logo.
Well, dang, we had 2.5 hours.
I didn't even need lunch today.
Never did a 2.5 hour show. Breaking records over here today.
All right.
Well, anyways, thank you, Jessica. I truly appreciate you. No, and all you do too, for real.
I appreciate you too. I love that you're here to help the community as well. And I'm gonna give you the information for the soccer.
Okay.
I'll give you Dina's information and see if you want to do that.
Okay. Other than that, yeah, I guess we're just gonna end the show with that. I don't have no special ending because I don't have a camera now, so I can't see me.
Right. So that's gone. Till next season.
Horrible at this. I need to get a better battery. Anyway, thank you. Appreciate you.
Of course.
Till next time. Definitely coming back.
Of course.
All right.
You invite me, I'll come over.
All right. Till next time.
All right. Yeah. Bye.